Andrew Wilson is. I don't
Nah,
know
I
who
don't know
Andrew
about
Wilson is,
that.
so it doesn't even
I don't know
change
if
the
that's fair.
perspective for me.
Yeah, stylistically vastly different for what it's worth. Maybe ideologically aligned, but yeah, no, stylistically. At least the only thing that I've ever heard, because like I said, I've literally only heard that one, that Andrew Wilson versus Erudite. Chief actually sent it to me the other day, and that's really the only thing I've ever heard of Andrew Wilson debating. So I've heard the name I a couple of times, like, but I don't like
Oh
no,
yeah,
really.
no,
I've
it's
He got popular after
and
talking to Destiny.
yes.
I was actually going to
Everybody
ask if
seems
he
to
and
have.
Destiny had ever debated. I was
Feels like
curious how
everybody.
that.
For a while, they did it a ton.
It feels like everybody got big
Okay,
off of Destiny.
There was like a generation of like
Destiny did.
philosophy guys that, yeah. Same thing with Lactoid, I think.
Okay, so this lactoid person is pretty significant in the space.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah,
Okay,
he regularly
right
gets
on.
on Wick. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I know who Wick is.
Am I feeling?
He's
Circa started live. Very cool. Very cool. Are you where? What are you under? Are you under politics tonight, Circa? Nope. I'll go over to podcast. Not a problem. Yep.
All right, let me see. How do I even?
No. It's all good. I don't care. You can fight for views against Erudite. How about that?
Listen through here.
Done. There you go.
And me, I guess, because I'm gonna be also streaming through. Oh,
Are you gonna? You're gonna go through politics.
Mhm.
All right.
Well,
Well, then it
it's
might
like-
not be a bad idea for one of y'all to go to just chatting, just so we can spread the fucking peanut butter everywhere. But it's up to y'all.
I guess-
Sort it
I
amongst
guess I could.
yourselves. And I'm gonna go ahead and get the stream together going. Gorps, are you gonna be on?
No, I'm not going live today.
Not going live. How was your protest today, bud?
It was good. I got home like 10 minutes before I hopped on this call, so perfect timing.
I appreciate you coming through. Yeah, this was another situation as always, where we have had multiple people. Like I prepped 4 debates. Like or I booked 4 debates. I was so excited. I was like, I've got a backup just in case. And then 2 of those fell apart. So I need a fucking backup for my backup. So,
I got a question.
but Gorps,
And that's
Gorps
me
came in
with
clutch.
pizza in the oven.
I got a question.
Came in clutch. Yes, sir.
Gorps, what do you actually protest?
What do you mean?
Like, what are
Like-
you protesting against?
Today was the U.S. strikes in Iran.
Oh, you actually care about those things. I wasn't sure. I really am not sure. Your politics seem to be everywhere. So I was like, I wasn't sure if you were like, yeah, bomb them, but like do it in like a libertarian way or something. Like I wasn't
No,
sure.
the only country I
What is
support
a
the US
libertarian
bombing
bombing?
is Israel.
I don't know. That's why I'm trying to wait, huh? Say that again.
The only country I support the U.S. bombing is Israel.
Oh, okay. I thought you said the only
Hey.
country I support doing bombings was Israel. I was like, oh fucking God.
No. Yes, sir. No. If you go to your I can let's see. I think maybe I can bring you in. No, okay. Did it work?
Huh.
No, it's not showing you in the room. So
As
yeah, exactly. It's in your whispers. You should have the invite. Same thing with you, Lonzo.
My computer is being annoying.
I'll send it again then.
It's not picking up that I'm sending Discord. I'm trying to.
They did not make it easy, no.
I heard Israel and I'm triggered.
Good fucking Lord. Yes, I know you are, but could you not rake my ears with that next time,
Yeah.
please?
That was your mic is god awful, my friend.
What are you hiding in a
think he's
bunker
on his-
right now in Israel, trying to dodge the Iranian missiles or something, dog?
Wow. Shots
We
fired.
celebrating up in here.
You celebrating over there? You
Oh,
celebrating?
we're not
Never
going to
mind.
devolve to that until the last 30 minutes of the after party, people.
I actually
We're-
can't
we'll-
stay here that long. I have to
It's
get
okay,
out.
Tyler. I will celebrate with you and we just nuke the whole thing. The whole area.
Oh wow. Okay.
The Middle East?
Wow. The whole Middle
Yes.
East, huh?
The whole
is that
Middle
your
East.
take?
The whole thing.
The whole
Okay.
thing. Okay.
Get rid of all of it.
I would
Okay.
like you to at some point take a map and I want you to draw a circle for us, okay? Vigilante, I want you to show us where that circle is, like where which parts you consider to be Middle East. I'm just curious. Would
Like, is
Egypt
Yemen-
fall under there?
Uh,
Parts
How
of
about Turkey?
Egypt? No.
I mean, half the okay, at least part
Syria?
of
Turkey
Egypt
is a
definitely
little
in that.
questionable. Syria, yes. Pretty much as far west as Pakistan, and then as far east as Israel.
Wait.
Radish.
So you'll wipe out Pakistan, but not India. That's just wrong. That's just wrong. It has to be a package deal. If you're going to take out one, the other one has to go too.
I don't think I could
Yeah.
debate someone this based.
Sure.
I think we just wipe it all out. Get India,
No, I'm in
Egypt,
favor.
Turkey,
I'm in favor of none of that.
the Balkans. I don't
I'm in
know.
favor
All
of
of it.
no.
Who is saying
No,
that?
of
I'm,
no
Is that
move.
Game Boy?
I'm mostly memeing because this is my usually my deflection to not talk about that because that situation because I fucking hate both sides because both sides suck.
I'm sorry.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to
But-
say strongly
but
that
both
that's
sides of
just not
what?
correct. Iran
Both
and
sides of
Israel.
what?
The
Oh, I
the
see.
whole Middle Eastern conflict.
Oh, the whole
Because
middle.
it's-
Okay, well
it's-
then I got to say you're definitely wrong. Then I was like at least with Iran you can make the point that like the regime is evil, but you can't make the point that the entirety of the Middle East is evil, dog. That's just not even close to valid.
They're all theocratic
No,
ethnostates.
nope. Only two of them are. That's
Name one Middle Eastern country that's not a theocratic ethnostate.
Israel.
Israel
that's
is a
definitely not.
theocratic ethnostate. Israel is also the theocratic ethno. Well, it's still okay. It might be secular, but it's still an
Well,
ethnostate.
wait.
It's still bad.
Okay. Here's my question. So if it's a theocracy,
All right, we do need
against
everybody
the-
to put their camera on of some sort if they can, please. I know you're on your road,
I got you.
Tyler. That's cool, but yeah, we just need to have everybody so that they fall into their places and stuff.
He's on
If it's
his
a
road. That is
theocracy-
libertarian as fuck.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes, you are.
Is your
he
solution
is
to
on
all
his
theocracies
road.
Base, I
to
want
just
my own
blast them?
road.
What, Lonzo?
Is the solution to theocracies to just glass them immediately? That's it?
Yes.
Pretty much.
Nah,
Are
you don't
you
have to
dr-
do that,
wow.
dude. You don't have to do that. Turn your light off, bro.
There is no fixing ethnostates and there is no fixing theocracies.
That is literally not true. First off, the UK at one point was a theocracy. I mean, maybe we just fixed it yesterday, but still, it was a theocracy at one point.
And do you think that its actions were beneficial for humanity while it was?
No.
Huzzah. Yes, sir. I did. I sent it a second time. Did you still not receive it?
He's got you blocked, bro.
It should be through Twitch. No, I'm going to do it again. SEARKA
There's actually,
underscore.
isn't it very Isn't
Okay,
doesn't
cool.
it show just the selfishness of Americans that even the ones who consider themselves to be progressive also refuse to like they would rather do something like that to like for example Iraq was pretty progressive at one point. They were definitely working towards being a more
They did have a moment
similar,
there, didn't they?
and then we destroyed that. And like the American solution is like, well, we fucked it up. Let's just glass it. Like before the invasion, what do you mean? What was Iraq? It was pretty modernized. Yes, under
No. Back in the
No, I
80s,
do
wasn't
mean
it?
under Saddam. Because even under Saddam, it was still in a better state than it currently is. You can't work towards a more modernized country without actually having some form of modern infrastructure, without some form of actual decent economy. Then right now, yes. Are you saying it's better currently than it was under Saddam? Is that the argument that you're about to make?
Yes.
Hey, appreciate the sub there, Rufus.
I like
National Progressive
Are
Front
you anti-socialist?
is what it was called. And it was established in 1973 by the Ba'ath Party, foster a coalition with the Iraqi Communist Party and other factions. But yeah, so there was like I remember there was like a little period where they were like trying to sort of westernize
Before Saddam was killed, if I remember correctly, guys, the Sunnis and Shias were not murdering each other purely based off of ideological differences. Then, after the invasion of America, those two groups splintered off into extremist groups that then started to massacre each other in the entire Middle Eastern region. So let's not sit here and try and revise history.
Are you advocating for pro dictatorship, Lonzo? You think that a dictator
No,
was
it's not
better?
It's not. It's not.
I'm
It's not pro dictatorship. It's anti regime change. Every time we do a regime change, it just leads to disaster.
I'm
And
also
that's
trying
why
to
what's going on
more
is so fucked
importantly
up. But
more
whatever.
importantly,
Yeah.
I'm trying to make the point that these people are not like mentally different from Americans in any way. They would also move towards a more progressive lifestyle, a more progressive government form of governance if given the same conditions. The fact that we made sure that did not happen. Well, then what was your point about Saddam whenever when like I'm saying that purely off of their existence, they were further from religious extremists then than they currently are.
My question to you is if that was the case with the Middle East.
I'm talking about Iraq.
Well, we were talking about the Middle East in general.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
he was talking
Middle
about
East in
blasting the
general.
entire Middle East. I brought it up as an example of the Westerners saying that it's an unsavable region while also being a large part of the guys that made it to where it's at right now. To you to just sit there and claim that it's not true and that we played no part in this radicalization of the religious groups there. You just said that it was not less radicalized before the removal of Saddam. Really, I literally said, was it?
All right, so real quick, perfect time, perfect lull. We're gonna jump off of that. Thank God. And
Damn, I hope
Alonzo, first
Lonzo
of all,
has this much energy for his own debate.
energy for the
tonight. That'd
debate.
be
Yes, I was
amazing.
just thinking the
It is
exact
against
same thing.
Circa, so yes.
Especially since it's against Circa, so y'all gonna carry that shit in. So real quick, speaking of which, Lonzo, first things first, go ahead and accept that invite to the stream together. We're gonna get this party started.
I'm not even streaming yet. One sec. I can't get my
Well,
audio to
see,
work.
get on the goddamn ball, dude.
I can't get
And
my
then
audio
second
to
of all,
work.
while you're waiting for that, if I could get everybody to in order, Gorps, will you say a few words for me, sir? Introduce yourself so I can get your sound right.
Hi, I'm Gorps. I'm better than any of these people here, and I'm going to mop the floor with Hammer during our debate because
All right.
he chose a dumbass opinion.
All right, perfect. Lonzo, say a few words for me. Introduce yourself and try to beat that.
Mia soy Alonso. I am here to whoop Circus ass in a debate because, as you just heard, the guy cannot make up his mind on a single thing, and will overcomplicate the debate to the point that you won't want to listen anymore after the first 10 sentences.
Definitely watch that Rob Norv debate. You'll enjoy the hell out of it. All right, Vigilante, give me a few words if you would, sir. Please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
I'm Vigilante. I'm going to be debating Game Boy. This is going to be very interesting because I know nothing about Game Boy. So I prepped the debate in a style that I do not normally like doing because I have a feeling it's the best way to win this. So
Fair. Let's Chief. You're I'm sure gonna be golden, but let me hear you anyway, just in case something's changed.
Just like your last shower, buddy. And I'm here to also clean up. I'm gonna fuck up all these debaters tonight on all sides. Yeah, that's right.
With the judge's elbow, that's right. The elbow of justice. And Game Boy, say a few words for me, sir. Have you cleared your throat yet?
Gross.
Because you still sound like you're half
I'm.
asleep. There you go.
I think we should all get along. I don't like fighting.
You actually sound like yourself again. Thank you. Hammer, give me a few words, please. Tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Mr. Hammer, and I'm here to have an informed and intelligent debate with Gorps because I respect him.
Nah, he's playing the guilt trip. Circa, tell us who you are, sir, please. Do you prefer us to call you Nick instead of Circa? That was one of the things that was bothering me the other night whenever you were on that panel was how badly everybody debaucherized your name. Like I had to think they were doing that shit on purpose. Like Sarker, Saker, Sakar. Like how many times it's like, dude, sound it out. Okay, word. And Jesus Christ, Tyler, let's hear your fucking mic.
I am here to represent Israel, earn my $7,000. And I'm going to be real judgy tonight because I'm like the judge. So it's like so judgy to be judgy, but I'm going to judge you.
All right, perfect. We're gonna have to redo that once you actually get home. What's your rough ETA? Do you know?
About 3 to 5. I'm pulling off the highway right now.
Perfect. Does the highway approve? Is this consensual?
I slipped the highway a couple of things inside its drink, so it doesn't even know.
Wow. Okay, so there we go. So fantastic. Will Mooncake ever get a debate to get to debate you on Horse's panel, Hammer? Who is Mooncake? Because the answer will be yes. If Mooncake wants to debate, send Mooncake our way. We
It's a
got a
very
few new
long
debaters last night,
story.
I think. Okay.
It's a very long
I've
story.
got a
I don't
few
know if that's gonna
seconds.
happen.
Does it last 3 to 5 minutes?
Yeah, I was just about to say,
No,
apparently there's a
no.
highway getting pulled off
Here,
somewhere.
It's a
I know the
huge
story.
diversion.
Do you and her
We
still
won't-
talk?
Forgot we were debating about for a second.
For now. I'll say for now.
I'm gonna put it on
Okay.
my come back to it later page, and I would love to know who this person is and why somebody in chat would ask me that question. So I'm sure it's an interesting story.
It's complicated.
Yep,
It's
we'll do it
complicated.
after stream then. That's fine.
I have argued with Hammer on her stream before because he was saying stupid shit.
He was okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
Hammer, are you known for saying stupid shit? Is that a thing? Because you seem pretty goddamn
No.
reasonable and rational every time I talk to you. But then, like
All
I
he
said, I
does is
see
say
your
stupid
takes, and I'm
shit.
like, what the fuck? Yeah.
No, I
Well,
never say anything stupid. Everything I say is correct.
And based and totally accurate.
He's usually very reasonable. He just has some dumb takes like we all do.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, I was about to say.
all my
I-
takes are great.
No. Nope.
Okay. So let's see. Control copy. So we are just about ready to get this started. Everybody, again, thank you, audience, for your patience. We are just waiting for our last judge to finish his sexual assault of a freeway. Boom.
It's really plowing the roads tonight.
If you want,
Good shit.
you can do your intro. I came in so you could get
Yeah.
started and everything. And
Yeah.
wait on me. So.
No, I know. Well, and the fact is, yeah, we had a couple people running late anyways, and we just kind of been bullshitting. And at the end of the day, man, like now that I've been on a couple other people's panels, their shit is just as fucking hectic. I waited 2 hours for somebody to start their shit. At least we're all here and we're talking and we're entertaining. So I'm not too mad about it. As long as all of it happens, then the edited version that I put on YouTube that lasts forever looks great, and that's what matters. So
we'll fix it in post.
That's it. We'll fucking fix it in post. You got it. Speaking of which, there's going to be some changes. I'm gonna kind of a little bit of talk on that. So Let's Chief figured out a way that maybe I'm going to be able to be more creative about my layouts, because that's another thing.
I tested this earlier, and it's working good. I'll help out
and it
you
works.
guys out with it if you want to check it out. I put in the bullshitting in the bullshitting thread on a Horseradish's Discord under Stream Tech. The Stream Tech thread, I put some directions for this Chromium browser plugin called the Video Ninja or Video Ninja Capture. And basically, if you, when you're streaming, will sign into your Discord on that same Chrome based browser, this plugin actually extrapolates each person's video into its own stream link. And so if you have a layout where you want a certain number of heads, a certain number of places, you could easily make that happen and just save. It takes some initial setup to set up your number of layouts based on the number of people you have or what kind of show you're running or whatever. But once you have it set up, it should be really easy to kind of maintain after that. So that's what he's talking about.
And the thing is, now that I've seen a couple of other people, specifically Speakeasy, and I've seen his production quality, I realize I need to step my goddamn game up. And while this doesn't look terrible, it doesn't look like ass, it is does look like a boomer slapped it together. Fuck off, Corpse. Shut up. So that said, if whenever you guys are debating, I was able to pull the two debaters' faces up and then be able to, but I can't do that shit with Discord like you can in StreamYard. And I have spent way too much time and effort in this fucking Discord to try to just give up on Discord. So
Radish is a
But
boomer.
Oh my god. Anyway, yeah, fuck off, corpse. I'm gonna make the judges all punish you for that. So, the other thing is, and I haven't actually made this full announcement even to the other person. Y'all know what happened with my typical co-host on Sundays, with the Discord. So I made a decision last night, and I think that I'm done streaming on Sunday mornings. I'm going to go to a Wednesday, Friday, Saturday now. I think the nights it seems like the audience shows up for it better. It's better timing for them. The main reason I was clinging to it was for my European audience. Those of you who don't know, I spent about 2 years streaming full-time days, which if you do that, you will find a lot of Europeans, which is great and it's cool and it's interesting. But no, not fuck Europeans, Corp. Stop doing that, dude. You're like the worst kind of. You're like a teleprompter from hell. Anyway,
Whoa,
but yeah,
whoa! What did I do?
Shots fired. You were the one who was trying to throw shade at Gorps earlier, bro.
Throw shade.
Oh, and Circa.
He's
Vigi's
like
okay.
5'3". It's not hard to do.
Oh, was that person that was harassing Rook in your stream last night? Because I saw some chats from a guy named Computer Bobby who said some of the things that they were saying some of the things that they were harassing Rook about, like paying for potentially. Or
so
paying
I
to
actually
cover
thought
up or
that
whatever.
too. Yeah, I thought that too.
I didn't
when
know
it
if
was
that
happening.
was the same person or what. Yeah.
It was not the name, but possibly. But I was just kind of tuning him out, mostly because I was half asleep. But I thought it was awesome. As soon as Mule woke up, Mule fucking banned that person like within minutes. I didn't even get to see what the person said, but yeah. So if that was, they're already gone. So shout out Mule. So, anyways, all right. So by now, I'm sure. You know what? I'm gonna click that thing that you sent me, and I want to see how that'll play, because I guess we can try that real quick. That's not a
You should
problem.
try one of these Radish, or like a few of these. They're Pomos.
Strawberry margarita spritz.
It's no. Look. It says if it's CHT.
Oh.
No, I'm fucking with you. THT. It
Yeah,
gets you
okay,
high in reverse.
okay.
Yeah. What's that like?
Yeah, and for what it's worth, just so everybody knows, I'm having some weird tech issues from my green screen. It keeps tripping balls. I hate it. I had it fixed. This has been the bane of my existence for a long time. I'm gonna have to get myself a new ring light. It started tripping like 2 days ago, and now it's like doing weird shit. So if all of a sudden the illusion breaks, I'm sorry. It's what you get when you order shit off of Amazon. So anyways, so like I want to hear this again now. Yeah. And I'm going to see if you guys can hear it. I don't know if I need to. Oh, I bet you that's what I need to do. I need to down. Yeah, I don't even know how this.
He made it. Holy shit.
Can y'all hear that?
Nope.
Okay. How would I do that? I guess that's. Yep, never mind. That's a later me problem. Because it sounded cool. I want to do it, but
You got to
just
just like stream the window like you would anything else to us.
I see. So I need to stream my Discord to the Discord.
Yeah,
I'm gonna download the actual file, and I think that's gonna be. Oh, you could hear it, Groofus? Okay, so my audience could hear it at least. That's cool.
Yeah, the audience could hear it. We can't hear it in here.
All right. What do you mean that's awful? You know what? Now I'm gonna fucking make you listen to the rest of it, because I only got to listen to a couple of minutes of it. Let's Chief was just dicking around with some AI to try to make this, because like I said, I need to up my game. I get that.
Concept.
So yeah, this is proof of concept. It's better than that honky talk song Roddy made for us.
I kind of like that one too, though.
Yeah, but yeah.
What is it, like an intro song or something?
Everybody went quiet for a second. I thought my mic wasn't muted. Y'all had me worried. What's going on?
I'm just chilling.
It's
Why is it that AI is able to make music as good as any of the modern day rappers?
Who said that? Did you say that? That's your opinion? Is it? Who said that?
Kinda, Moon.
Who's smoking? Somebody's really lighting up crack right now. I need to know who said
Like,
that.
that
That was
kind of
Moon.
hits. Who said
Yeah,
what?
crack does hit, but that
That
tape
was
doesn't.
Horseradish.
Who said what? Who said what?
It was
Who said
you.
what?
Horseradish said it.
The AI thing about rap music.
You fucking snitch.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
No, that's
100%.
incorrect.
That was me.
Absolutely incorrect. Are you one of those boomers that are like, oh, the only music that's coming out nowadays is this Young Thuggery and Playboy Cardi? Are you one of those people? You haven't
Dude,
heard
I
like
grew
a
up
single-
in the age where thuggery was invented, fucker.
Yeah,
No,
but
the thing is,
but
you're talking about Fancast. We'll do this some other time.
what's
We're
the
not doing that now.
Wait, can I get the link,
what album was
please,
charting
to
number
the
one
AI
2 weeks
music?
ago? Album called The Fall Off. There's no AI that's producing a masterpiece like that. I don't want to hear it.
Okay. So there are exceptions to every rule.
Is it
But
is it lyrical rap or mumble rap?
Cut it out with the mumble rap stuff. This is not Eminem, but no, it's J. Cole. If you don't know who that is, then I don't know what to tell you.
did you just call Eminem mumble rap?
No, Eminem's the
That's
one who
funny.
was like going around calling every piece of music mumble
Oh,
rap.
got you.
Like he was like
because it is.
MGK's
No,
mumble
he's-
rap. I'm like MGK's not. Come on now, he's not good, but he's not mumble. That's just absurd.
No,
All
calling
right,
it
so
mumble rap is talking about a specific type of trap.
Yeah,
music.
but it's a very small amount of music in comparison to like J. Cole did nine. It's a very small amount of music in comparison to the overall thing. Like the top selling artists are not even bad. That's just overplayed.
all right.
Um,
So
Lamar, J.
Tyler, are
Cole.
you now at your desk? Have we bullshitted
I'm
long
here.
enough? Yay,
Yeah.
yes, you sound amazing. Talk for me again one more time.
Oh, I'm here. Well, my camera's all fucked. There, I'm here.
What's going
And
on?
it sounds like your mic is not picking up your voice. It sounds like
I'm
your mic is going.
here.
Yeah, no, you don't have to shout in it, sir. I'm saying like it sounds like maybe you might have the wrong mic associated with Discord, like it's picking up your camera instead of your good mic.
What am I gonna do with this? Oh, I need to mute.
No, I think the sound settings of my microphone just need a little bit of tweaking, but it's on the right thing. I
Oh,
just
my
gotta-
All right,
microphone
cool,
is
cool,
muted.
cool. Rock and
I had
roll.
my
All right.
microphone muted on my
Well,
end.
in that case, we are all here, and yeah, proof of concept good, but apparently Lonzo and Game Boy disapprove. So they found something already that they can.
That
agree
tells me it's fucking gold.
Time for some
Disapprove of what?
Exactly. You were.
Oh, he didn't even
well,
hear it because it was.
He
only
didn't even
playing
hear
on
it.
the
He was
stream.
just shit talking to me. Got it.
Wait, what are you
got it,
talking
got it,
about?
got it, got it.
He was playing
Talking
a
about that song.
Oh, AI. Yeah, no, I just think the AI is not better than real rap music. That's absurd.
Oh right. No,
yeah,
I
can
understand.
I get? Can I get?
You're allowed
Can I
to
get
do
that?
that.
Can you guys wrong?
Yeah. How would I? I don't even know how to share. I don't know how to share. So
Hey, if you just put it in your media player and then share your window.
Okay, that's it. All right, cool.
I was like, I'm just gonna throw something off the top. I'm gonna spend a lot of time on there. That Horse will eventually help edit and we'll slap it together.
But the idea is there. So, okay, share my screen. I'm gonna share my.
Hi, Mrs. Average Debate Enjoyer.
Yes. Tell wifey. All right. Good shit. All right, fuck it. You guys should all be able to hear it now, and this will be its main
A lot of
point.
average husbands. I don't know.
yeah, that's also true. All right, so yeah, we're gonna play this intro song, see how we feel about it, see what tweaks we need to do. Lonzo, this is for you.
I can't hear a single thing. Oh, this is absurd.
Fun.
This is horrible.
Why didn't I?
I need some glow sticks and some Vicks Vapor Rub, boy. Let's go.
It might be a little long. First bit of feedback.
Yeah, that's long.
Yeah, no, the 80s. Okay, the late 80s, early 90s dance club music. That's where I draw the line. But I liked the rest of it.
It sounded
I
more
mean,
like
that's not really hip hop though.
yeah, that's not even rap.
No, I know.
No.
That's what you kids call the trap, right?
No, all he said, he
No,
didn't say it
that's
was a
just a
rap.
club
Kinda like
He
music.
said-
dubstep.
all he said was AI makes better music than most modern rappers, I think is what he said.
That's almost exactly the word for word. I think. What
I mean,
said.
it's not
That's
even
just not correct.
like it's decent dubstep, like, but it's.
It doesn't
I
have
mean,
to be
I can
correct,
show you
but
some
you have
dubstep
to at
that's even
least be able
better.
to recite it back to him.
If you want songs that sound like that, but even better, I can hook you up, Horseradish.
So that's one of the stories. So I'm trying to find better music. Whenever I very first started this, I had a guy who made a couple of beats for me, and I liked them. But one of them opens with a bong rip, and I'm kind of trying to step away from the weed branding, right?
Very
Like it's
adult.
just it's not, yeah. And so I'm trying to get. Now the other one is cool, but it's like super laid back, and it's what I use right now for the intro and in reverse outro for the clips on YouTube. I would love to get my hands on something new. I don't like the idea of AI slop. I am not a fan of AI slop. I have intentionally not used AI for any portions of this stream. But then I saw last night what it could look like, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck. That's kind of cool, and it's definitely better than my shitty like backgrounds and ooh look, it's smoke video. Wow. So yeah. So again, if people have anything or can shoot me directions, or if anybody knows anybody or whatever, I'm poor. I don't make any money from this, so don't ask for too much of that. But yeah, exactly. There was your smoke video. Thank you, Tyler. Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna read the thing. We're gonna get the party started. We're a little bit late, everybody, but thanks for waiting. Thanks for your patience. Let's do this. Welcome back, everybody, to the Demilitarized Zone. This is the one debate show where we foster good faith discussions and help you feel comfortable about engaging in hot button topics. We are not here for the gotchas and the dunks, so please check your weapons at the door. We are trying to help folks stop and listen to each other, even if that is just to see where we disagree. So sit back, cozy up, get your voting fingers ready, because here your votes actually matter. Our debates tonight, we have 3 of them scheduled for us. Those are going to be: the existence of the FCC is a violation of the First Amendment. That is going to be Lonzo Kennedy up there in the top center, going against Circa in the bottom right. We are going to have the ordinary citizen does not have a right to govern himself, although I suppose that should be themselves. We'll fix that later. Vigilante is in the top right corner up here defending the AF. Game Boy is in the bottom left corner. Who the fuck is that? I don't even want to know. In the bottom left corner,
I'm Kanye West.
You're Kanye West, of course you are. And last but not least, the responsibility to de-escalate should fall on law enforcement, not the citizen. The AF here is Gorps in the top left, and the wrong answer is Hammer in the bottom center. I'm sorry, no bias here. In the bottom center, that is disagreeing with that prompt. So, without further ado, the way this is going to work is we are going to go back and forth. You guys all have debated here before, so you know the format. Now we are back to the original 1v1 format, and I think it's going to keep going. So it's going to be a 3 minutes of open from the affirmative, followed by 3 minutes of cross-examination by the negative. Then the negative gets 3 minutes to open, followed by 3 minutes of direct cross-examination by the affirmative. After that, we're going to open it up for a 10-minute conversation. You guys can just kind of go at it and have a meaningful conversation in that time. After that, the judges, each of my judges, I didn't tell you about this. I'm sorry, by the way, Tyler. There's been a slight development since the last time you judged for me. So what I now do is each judge and myself, so 3 people, are going to each have 1 question for each debater at the end of their open conversation. So anything you thought got missed, or anything that you felt would be relevant or beneficial to the conversation, that's going to be your opportunity to kind of ask a question. I'm gonna advise the debaters, please do not try debating the judges. We're just answering a question that they ask, and do it to the best of your ability. Then they each get 3 minutes to close. After that, I'm going to put a link into the chat. Everybody's going to be able to see it. Everybody's going to be able to vote. It costs you absolutely nothing. The judges are going to render their judgment on a 10-point basis, which is to say they have 10 total points to distribute across the 2 debaters. And the audience is going to be rounded to the nearest 10 and used the same way. So, all of that said, our first debate of the night is already up on the board. The existence of the FCC is a violation of the First Amendment. Lonzo, you're going to be the opening. Got 3 minutes on the clock. Are you ready to go, sir? Yes.
Sure, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Okay. Let's see how this goes.
Fantastic. All right. So, clock starts when you start, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. The FCC was established in 1930s as a under the Communications Act, 1934. The purpose of the FCC was basically to prevent, in a time where it was to prevent the, I guess, misuse or the dangerous, inflammatory. I can't remember what the word is I'm looking for here, but you understand, it's to not put graphic and things that be considered dangerous to the mind of children and stuff like that on the radio waves, on television, at a time where these were becoming popular and more commonly used by people like the presidents at the time. FDR, I believe, was one of the first ever presidents to do his campaign through television. So due to this new unfounded this new form of technology that was being used at the time, they had to find a way to adapt to this and control it so that it wouldn't be, as I said, dangerous to children and to the public, as they called it. Their solution to this was to give the federal government a control and censorship over the media, which at the time may have been a very fast and rash decision due to such new technology coming to light so quickly. But in hindsight, is a clear violation of the First Amendment, because one of the most basic things of the First Amendment is that freedom of speech is a protected right. And that protected right is protected from the federal government. That's the purpose of the Constitution. The literal name of the FCC is the Federal Communications Commission, I think it's called, the Federal Communications Commission. It's in the name. It's a federal agency that's whose purpose is to censorship over people's speaking, over things that people may share on television, things people may share over the radio waves. That's censorship. It's blocking freedom of speech. It's definitionally against the Constitution. The only reason that it ever passed through was because of the time that it was in and the lack of safety in the way that we do things when it's considered an immediate threat, especially in a time where there was a fear of foreign adversaries, infecting the minds of the public and stuff. And it's the same thing that basically happened with the what is it, the free radio or whatever in Europe against the Soviets. So it's the same practice being done in the U.S. It's to censor not just bad things such as curse words or graphic imagery and stuff like that, but also to censorship ideas that they don't like, political opposition, and it's very openly used by the federal government to do such things. That's why you cannot allow the federal government to control speech.
Okay. 3 minutes is on the clock now for you, Circa. Cross-examination. Go ahead and start when you're ready.
All right. Okay, so the directive, Lonzo, you said the directive was what again?
I mean, the directive.
Isn't like the prime
use the word
reason.
directive.
Like, what is
the purpose of the FCC?
Yeah.
The purpose of the FCC was for censorship. That's the whole thing that they were.
Are you sure it's not?
The right to take away people's.
Are you sure the
it was to
purpose
take away
isn't
people's
regulating
rights.
interstate and foreign commerce and communication by wire and radio?
You can say you can use the word regulation, but you can say that we're going to regulate your speech. It's still censorship. If you're going to say we're going to regulate communist ideals from being.
Do we
spread
limit
across the
speech in
radio
other
waves,
ways?
it's still censorship. Do we regulate speech in other ways? Absolutely, but those are, if it's by the federal government, then it's unconstitutional.
The federal government is what gives us freedom of speech. The First Amendment is made by the federal government.
No. The Constitution is what gives us freedom of speech. The Constitution is what prevents the federal government from interfering with our freedom of speech.
Okay,
Laws
interesting.
don't give us the right to not shoot people. Laws tell us that we're not allowed to shoot people. That's
Sure.
not the same way that works.
Yeah, but we still like regulate it through Supreme Court cases, and then freedom of speech is not unlimited, right?
Freedom of speech, if and not defiance to the Constitution in the way that is the
Do you think the
word
Constitution says freedom of speech is unlimited?
If it is, does the Constitution have any parameters around freedom of speech? Could you please read that to me? If you're saying the First
No, I
Amendment,
asked you. Do you think the
the
Constitution?
First Amendment,
I asked you. Do you think the Constitution says freedom of speech is unlimited?
the Constitution has ratifications that have changed certain things about the freedom of speech. But if it is purely speech
Okay.
that we're talking about, then yes, purely speech, yes.
Okay, that's it.
Not actions. Not if you say I hate black people and you punch a black guy. That's hate speech. Not I'm going to blow up this building and then you start gathering gunpowder. That's not freedom of speech. That's
Why not?
speech with actions. What do you mean? Those are action. You can be investigated for something that you're saying by the CIA or the FBI, and if you're found to be if you're found to be possibly committing some form of crimes, then or attempting to commit some type of crime, you're going to be arrested.
Okay.
That's just it's not associated with speech at all.
Got it.
All right, Circa. 3 minutes is on the clock now for you to do your opening. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna do a little bit of a framing check really fast, okay? So when the claim is the FCC violates the First Amendment, it usually blurs two different ideas: regulation that manages a shared system versus regulation that judges a message. Those are not the same thing, and the debate turns on keeping them separate, maybe by action, like we just heard, or maybe by some magical principle. So what's the FCC really? Start with the boring fact that makes the whole topic less dramatic. Radio spectrum is finite. If everyone transmits wherever they feel like, you don't get freedom. This is positive freedom, negative freedom, pretty basic stuff. You get interference instead. The loudest station wins and everyone else disappears into static. And at the end of the day, you can probably think to yourself, is there really freedom at that point? That's not a marketplace of ideas, it's a monopoly by wattage. The FCC's basic function is closer to traffic control than speech control. It's about licensing, technical standards, and interference rules that let many speakers coexist. More voices, less chaos. That's the point. And it is a continuum. So agencies sometimes cross the line. Of course, the First Amendment conflict often lives in the gray area zone, where keeping the signal clean slides into judging the context. That's a continuum of application and doctrine. Even if the constitutional text stays fixed unless amended, Jefferson warned that laws and institutions must be kept in pace with changing facts and changing minds, or they start fitting like a childhood code. So concede the risk, then I'm going to sharpen the logic. The FCC can be misused, narrowed, or struck down in specific actions, but the agency's mere existence is not by itself a First Amendment violation. Some actions can violate. Existence does not. And that's my yeah.
All right. 3 minutes is now for you, Lonzo. Go ahead and question.
I have a question for you, Circle. Would you consider that the FCC in its current existence, the way that it currently functions, to be a violation of the First Amendment?
No, I just said existence is not a violation.
No, because you said its existence itself is not. That
Correct.
is not a violation, but it's still. You also said that most of the time it does not violate the Constitution. That's not a.
I don't
not
remember
really an
ever saying
argument
most of the time.
that- well, you said most of the time it's just doing traffic control. So what is it doing in that?
I
other
said its basic
percent of the
function
time?
is. I never actually gave
It's
a
basic.
majority, but I would assume it actually is most of the time not committing First Amendment violations.
Yeah, but what is it doing in the amount of times that it's not mostly not committing violations?
It may. It depends on the court.
It depends on the court if the FCC commits violations against the Constitution.
Yeah. It's a continuum.
Okay, so the point is that currently it has at times violated the Constitution. We very flagrantly saw it violate the Constitution not that long
I'd
ago
like
with
you to
Jimmy
give me a
Kimmel.
case for that. You have any case?
I just said it with Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, you have to tell me where in
Pressuring to have
court
him taken
this
off of
was.
the air.
I can give you a few, but I'm not going to do that. You need to tell me.
Wait, so okay. Shit. All right. You know what? This is. God damn it! I should have known you were gonna do this. He wants me to give him a specific court case of whenever they violated. My point is that we both know that they have at times done this. I can't deeply explain what happened with Jimmy Kimmel, but we know the point of them purposely. They have the ability to revoke licenses. They have the ability to revoke a license purely off of if they disagree with
But
somebody.
they've also
That is not
expanded
acceptable.
the freedom of being able to exist on radio and TV.
Yeah, but that does not counteract the point I'm making about them actually being violating the First Amendment. This is not a question of if their good actions have outweighed the action that we're arguing about here. They've done it.
Okay.
That is a violation of
So
the
you think
First
we should
Amendment.
never limit any freedom of anything in the Constitution? Again, you said you already agreed that we limit speech.
No. I here's the thing is what you're not understanding is that you said in its existence currently.
Do you think we
it
should
is
limit
not a
freedom of
violation
association?
the First Amendment. I am saying that it could exist as not a violation of the First Amendment. Absolutely. If it does not have the right to revoke licenses purely off of a person's speech. However, I think you're right about it, controlling the airwaves and being like traffic control.
It doesn't control. It doesn't control the airwaves. It just kind of manages pieces
Well, you
of
said
it.
that
It's
you
like a
don't-
traffic system. Yeah.
That's
So whenever the FCC revokes a
as I'm
license,
trying
do
to
you
say,
know
that
what?
is a
Do you know
valid
how
use
the
for
FCC
listen,
does
that is
that?
a valid use for the FCC.
Do you know how
Yes,
the
I know how
FCC
they
revokes a
revoke
license?
You're saying that the courts have to
Lonzo,
they have to
Lonzo, do you
report
know
that
how the
revoke somebody's
FCC
license.
revokes a license? Like, what does it have to go through for that to happen?
What process they have to go through to revoke a license?
Yeah, do you have
said
any
they have to
idea?
go through
Do you know
Congress.
where,
The Congress
in
is the
some
oversight
case,
for
this may have
FCC,
happened?
So obviously they have to. So, what do you mean by some? Do you mean like a court or something? What are you trying to say?
Well, usually the FCC will revoke a license for someone.
It's done in? What do you mean?
Well, usually the FCC will revoke a license when they found that the person they're revoking the license for has done what?
Violated the
okay.
What is it called? the 1936 Communications Act. My whole point of this that I started off with is that the 1936 Communications Act is
what, unconstitutional?
Is a violation of the First Amendment. Yes, that's what
How?
I'm saying. That's the whole. We're gonna end up talking in circles. It seems.
How?
I'm saying that because there's no reason that that the federal government should have any control over speech. That's what I'm saying.
Except we do. You've already agreed to that.
Yeah, I agree that that's a violation of the First Amendment. The federal government should
It's
not
not,
have
though.
control over speech.
It's not though.
How is it not?
Again, I
How is
have,
it
I have this feeling that you thought that the founders, when they wrote the First Amendment, wrote in like some etched in, parable.
No, it's
that
not
was
about
like,
what I feel about the First Amendment. I read the First Amendment. It doesn't matter how they felt when they wrote it down. They could have felt like they didn't want people to talk at all when they wrote the First
But they
Amendment
didn't,
down. But
right?
I'm
They
going off of
didn't.
what
That's
the
not how
words
they
are
wrote
on
it.
that piece of paper.
But that's not how they
I'm
wrote
going
it.
off of what the words on the piece of paper says. The
Okay.
First Amendment does not permit the federal government to regulate our speech.
Yes, it does.
Now, the FCC can exist.
Yes, it
The
does.
FCC can exist with the purpose purely of controlling traffic for the
Doesn't just
radio
control.
waves, so that there's not one voice controlling the airwaves, so that there's not one big corporation that can take over the airwaves for all. That's fair. Regulation in that sense is perfect. I am in favor of that. However, I do not think they should be able to regulate the speech of people on the airwaves. If somebody says something inflammatory, I do not think that there should be any federal government agency that is allowed to step in and then remove them from the airways. And this isn't even really about how I feel about it. This is really about the First Amendment and the fact that it does not permit the federal government to do that thing. This is purely about what powers are given
And
to the federal government.
what are you
The FCC
using
is a federal-
to actually say this? What are you using? What case or what sort of argument are we
I'm
taking?
not. See, here's the thing, Circa, and I'm not going to sit here and do
And give me evidence? That would probably be a
case of
shame, I
this
know.
person versus. This isn't the thing about evidence. It's simply in the name. It's called the Federal Communications Commission.
Yes. So let's say this:
it's
if the
it is
FCC
a-
only prevented interference, as in frequency coordination, power limits, technical standards, would it still be unconstitutional? Yes or no?
No.
So your position is, if the government may
You're
not
gonna say
manage
it's limited
spectrum
to
at all,
my
it's
speech?
it's unconstitutional?
What do you mean spectrums?
As in, like, if it doesn't manage a spectrum at all,
Spectrums of
as in like anything in between.
anything in between.
Can it limit
anything in
any
between
type
what
of speech?
space you take up?
Can it limit any type of speech?
No,
None.
it should not.
Okay.
No, it should
So again,
not.
you
unless
think that the
speech
First
is
Amendment means we can't
terrible
limit
action.
any kind of speech at all?
No, that is
So
no. I'm
what
saying
kind of
that-
speech
that
does it
any
limit?
form- speech that is matched with action.
Is
Which is,
action?
then again, also illegal due to the action itself, not
The
because
action
it's
is illegal,
federal government.
therefore the speech that's associated with the action is now illegal via the First Amendment. Is that what you said?
No, but the only connections that you can make between federal government and action and somebody's speech is the action itself. If somebody were to say that they're going to shoot up a gay club, that's not
Mhm.
illegal technically. Or well, it would be in this situation, I guess. They could investigate you for it. But
So the action's not
by
necessary.
if we're going purely off of the first,
So the
if we're
action's
going
not
purely
necessary.
off of no. But I'm saying if we're going
No,
purely
it
off of
is.
the First Amendment, if you're going purely off of the First Amendment and what it says,
Mhm.
then no.
Look, man, if you're not going to make
Federal, and
a
also
like
federal government.
a facial claim, then you concede that this is about specific FCC actions or rules that may be unconstitutional, right? Some of them are, though, like you mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah, some of them are unconstitutional.
But some of them aren't.
Yes.
So that means this is about where the line is drawn, right? Not that the FCC is inherently unconstitutional.
The prompt doesn't say that the FCC is inherently
It
unconstitutional.
says the existence of the FCC is unconstitutional.
It says the existence of the FCC is unconstitutional. And I'm making the point that in the current state right now.
So
it is
you just agreed that some things it does is constitutional, some isn't. Isn't that kind of?
That is. Your argument is not. You're not trying to make the point that the FCC is occasionally constitutional. You're trying to make the point that the FCC
Well, no agency is going to be. I'm sorry, ma'am. That's just how it works. We have to like interpret reality, right?
That is
That's
absurd. Then so then your point is that the FCC isn't constitutional.
No, my point is not that it's unconstitutional.
It's just not completely constitutional. It's just partially at times.
It's a continuum, because the founders knew that whatever they wrote down on the paper, that little sentence you read, isn't going to be.
What are the repercussions?
Like objective.
If the FCC lashes out towards anybody who is that they did against Jim Kimmel and they try to pressure somebody off the airwaves,
sure,
they use their power in an unconstitutional way. Is there repercussions for it used through the Constitution?
Well, we already agreed that you think some things are constitutional, some things aren't, right? That would be unconstitutional.
Okay, is there any form of repercussions that the FCC would pay for violating the Constitution?
The agency itself? What are we going to fine the agency itself? Yes. I mean, there needs to be repercussions, but this isn't really about whether or not the existence of it is unconstitutional now, is it?
Well, the federal government can receive repercussions if they violate.
I don't think you answered my question, but it's fine.
I'm making the point that you're saying that occasionally that it is unconstitutional, but most of the time it isn't.
I never said most.
The existence of the FCC itself kind of avoids even because as I mentioned in one of my former debates, the point of the Constitution is the repercussions to keep the government in line. That does not apply to.
What if hypothetically we could magically? Let's think of a thought experiment, Lonzo.
So if it's ever
Lonzo, let's think of a thought experiment, okay, my friend?
Completely unconstitutional.
Let's think of a thought experiment. What if we could hypothetically get rid of everything unconstitutional it's done and only kept the constitutional stuff? Is it inherently unconstitutional now? The existence still?
Yeah, the fact that it still has the power to do those things does make it unconstitutional. Yes, you are right.
Got it. Yeah. What?
I said the Communications Act of 1936 and the powers that it gives the FCC in the first place are what makes it.
I just said if we hypothetically get rid of everything unconstitutional that it's done, and we keep only constitutional.
Act of 1936 is what gave the FCC. It's what created it. What do you mean?
Are you saying that act is unconstitutional?
Yes, the powers that are.
And what are you using to inform yourself on this, my friend? What are you using to inform yourself?
The FCC within that act is what is unconstitutional.
What are you informing yourself with on this? How are you going to say that the act itself is unconstitutional?
I just said that the powers it gives the FCC within that act is unconstitutional.
Has nothing to do with what I just asked you. It seems to me like you think the act itself is unconstitutional. Is it the creation? I'm actually unsure of what it is. So.
No, it's not. It's not the creation of an act that would in any way help with the flow of the radio waves, especially at a time where it was a brand new technology.
So the FCC is not unconstitutional then, because that's what it does. Right?
I am talking to a brick wall that is not trying to expand beyond this. I get that you can say things that may sound. You may be convincing some people right now that this is intelligent conversation coming from.
Let's move on to another point.
But I promise you I promise you.
Let's
if you
move to a
just look
different
under
point.
the hood of what he's saying, he is talking in circles in complete bullshit.
I know it's the carburetor. We'll fix it
The
later.
FCC
Okay.
is unconstitutional because of the powers that was given to it through the Communications Act of 1936.
So you're
should
saying
not
that the
even-
Communications Act itself is unconstitutional. Doesn't it prescribe these unconstitutional powers? Are they magic powers?
If I am actually gonna lose my shit. Okay, let's just say that the act never gave any provisions for power, and the entire thing. There's no power given to any agency at all in that act, and it just said there is now a new branch. There is now a new government agency called the FCC. Nothing else. That's it.
Okay.
It would not be unconstitutional. It would just be stupid to do, but it would not be
So
unconstitutional.
it is the
it'd be
act.
dumb
It
for me
is
to
the
say that
act.
the act itself. No, it would be dumb for me to say that the act
Sorry,
itself.
it's the
is
powers within the act.
I am saying the powers given to the FCC specifically in that act is
And what are those powers, and why are they unconstitutional? I don't know. Treat me like I'm stupid.
I have been.
No, you keep saying powers. I want you to tell me what they are.
Fuck it. We're at the last 10 seconds. I'm gonna go drink another one of these because this is crazy.
All right, that is time.
Fuck you,
So
Circa.
that was fun to watch. And chat was definitely having a field day with that. We're now going to go ahead and go to the question phase. The judges, I hope, have at least one question apiece. So pick your best question, because I have a strange suspicion there's going to be many. And I will actually go first, as always, because as I mentioned before, this is one of the few perks of my job. So Lonzo, look at you first, sir. And I'm going to go ahead and put 3 minutes back on the clock for these questions. Actually, no, 1 minute per question sounds right. Okay. No, well, for all three questions. So, my question to you, and this is less a question, but I'm going to form it as a question as best I can. I assume that you have read the First Amendment. So with that said, I'm going to read out the first part of it, okay? Because it's the relevant part. The First Amendment states,
I'm doing okay.
Congress
I'm having
shall
fun right
make
now.
no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or the press, or the right of the people to peacefully assemble and the petition the government for a redress of grievances. So, I'm going to read that very first few words again. Congress shall make no law. That is what the actual First Amendment says. So my question to you, Lonzo, is how is it that Congress creating an agency who then forms the regulations that control the speech would be a violation of the First Amendment?
Well, because the Constitution also says that any rights not given to the federal government are given to the states, and the FCC is a federal agency still, and is also
Freedom of speech is a federal government
made from
site.
Congress. I mean that's basically me saying it twice, that it's a federal agency, but you get what I'm saying.
The First Amendment is.
I forgot to start my clock, so that's okay. All right, so let's go with all the way here on the left, our leftist judge. That would be you, Tyler. Do you have a question ready up and in the chamber for Lonzo here?
Yes. First off, free Palestine. Trans lives matter, and those are my leftist quotes.
Yep, there we go. Got it. All right, let's hear your question for Lonzo.
Okay, so Lonzo, are you? I think this is a clarification question to help to smooth the debate out, get you guys moving forward. Lonzo, are you reading the prompt that this specific executive agency is unconstitutional because it's the powers that were granted to it based on inception are unconstitutional, and by removing those powers and restructuring this agency, it would then be constitutional. Thus, all the other things it doesn't matter.
Yes, that is the way that I perceive this.
Okay, cool. And then for Circa, are you reading this debate?
No.
prompt?
Hold the circle question. We're
Oh,
going to
sorry,
go through.
sorry.
We're doing all three. No, it's okay. We're doing all three Alonzos first. And Chief,
Sorry.
same thing for you, sir. Nope, no, you're good. This is new to you. So, let's Chief, please hit Alonzo with a question for me.
The Constitution also guarantees our rights to freely travel between states. Is it unconstitutional to have
It's gonna be
road
a dumb question.
laws?
It depends who's instating those road laws. Wait, are you saying? Wait, say that again. Ask that question
If
again.
so, the Constitution guarantees us the right to freely travel between states. So, say, like in a national park, would it be illegal for the federal government to
I
have
don't
road
hold
laws?
up. Is that the exact wording in the Constitution that it guarantees the right to legally travel between states?
Are you going to
These
quibble
laws.
over the
No,
exact
no,
wording?
because
Hold on, I'll
well,
have to
well,
pull it up.
well. I know I'm saying that because if it does, then
It's
it would be
basically the privileges and
unconstitutional.
immunity clauses in the 14th and
Mhm.
the 14th Amendment. Sorry.
Listen, I'm gonna assume. I'm purely off of the wording that you just used.
Just
The
assuming what I said is
Constitution.
correct.
Yeah, then yes, it'd be unconstitutional to have road laws that prevent us from traveling between state to state freely. If that's what the Constitution says, then it would be unconstitutional. Unless there's a provision somewhere else in the Constitution that also somewhere else in the Constitution that says unless the state decides otherwise, or unless the federal government decides otherwise. But unless there isn't, I mean, if there isn't, then it's unconstitutional. It's that simple.
All right. Now we're going to go to you, Circa. So, my question to you: you asked at one point for Lonzo to cite references, and you said that you had examples of, but you weren't going to give them to him. I'm going to ask for you to please give them to me. Would you please cite the references that you were referring to that you think actually support Lonzo's position? Or were you saying that they? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean,
I was
regulation.
going to say, as a judge, if he feels like he wants to hold that until the afters, I feel like he should have a right to do that.
Yeah, I'm not. I can give a few examples of how the FCC. Right. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to give those either.
Let me instead.
There's plenty of
I hear what
cases
Let's
where
Chief
the
saying.
FCC has been
I hear what
narrowed.
I hear what Let's Chief
Don't
saying.
sell your
So
own
hold
stuff
on.
on this one, man.
Let me clarify. No, let me change my question. Instead, can you give me some case examples that support your claim? Can you give me the references?
Sable
that
versus
that
FCC,
support your
1989. Turner
What was it called?
Broadcasting.
Say it again, please.
Sable versus FCC, 1989. Turner Broadcasting versus FCC. We can do like Reno versus ACLU, 1997. We can do United States versus Playboy Entertainment Group. We could do Hurley versus Irish American Glib Assen. Lovely one, 1995. This is a supplemental case though. And then
And those are all cases
They
where
all-
the courts decided that the FCC was
the last one
legitimate
is
in
not
their
specifically
restrictions.
FCC, but it does help shape things the FCC does. The first ones I gave you were they're communication specific Supreme Court cases.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to Let's Chief this time for his question first. Chief, go ahead and hit Circa, please.
Though you think the existence of the FCC itself isn't a violation of the First Amendment, do you think the FCC chair, when he said we're not done yet after the Kimmel suspension,
The current one?
was it was like the end of end of 2025, I think it was. But do you think that was a violation of an abuse of his power against the First Amendment?
I mean, against the First Amendment, I don't think there is an amendment. I don't think that actually would qualify in a case. But if you want my personal opinion, institutions are only as strong as people want them to be. And right now, we're being stress tested. Is I think a separate question. The current FCC chair is not interested in, trying to do things by the First Amendment, which is what the FCC is tasked to do. But I think this is a separate question, and I don't agree with it.
And you already had one in the chamber for Circa. Go ahead, Tyler.
Yep. Again, just a clarification question. I want to see if I'm interpreting your entire argument correctly here. Circa, it seems as though you're more arguing from the position based more off the prompt in that you're saying that the existence of just an executive agency named the FCC is constitutional. Thus, by default, if he admits that, you win. And even if they have these powers, those powers could not be used or they could be taken away. And then you would technically be 100% correct. It seems as though that's the position you're arguing.
I'm going to be honest. I think the label is unimportant. It could be, probably don't even hypothetically need an FCC. It just kind of helps to have this agency be able to do these things. But yeah, kind of in a way, because if you think about how freedom of speech is regulated anyway, we kind of needed an agency to do that with more efficiency. So in a way, yeah. I mean, the existence of it in and of itself, if you can accept that, is kind of conceding the bait. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All
I
right.
just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I did forget to start the timer like every single time, but I feel like all of the answers were succinct. Nobody galloped, so we were good. So, all right. I've now got 3 minutes on the clock. Lonzo, use as much of this as you need to for the close. Chat, remember, after these two closes, I'm going to put a link in the chat for you guys to click and vote for who you thought presented their case the best. Lonzo, whenever you're ready, the clock will start with you, bud.
Okay, so basically, he just said that the FCC is not a violation because you can name any federal agency. He just agreed with Tyler's idea that you could name any government agency the FCC, and it could have these violations against the First Amendment. But its existence itself, because we're so technical that we mean that the existence itself, like just the idea of it being made by Congress, is not a violation, which is so broad that I almost feel like a person just wants to say I'm wrong on this one, because there's no way that you could just be like its existence, because it could exist differently. It could exist differently, which means that it's not a violation. But he's also saying there are a lot of other government agencies that violate our First Amendment. The federal government regulates our speech all the time. So every agency is violating our First Amendment. What's different about this one doing it? That's an absurd thing to say when you're saying, does it violate the First Amendment? But okay. None of that works. None of that works. None of that makes sense. The idea that because it has the ability to be checked if it violates our First Amendment doesn't mean it's not doing it, which is different from my argument before about the Constitution being a useful piece of paper. The reason it's a useful piece of paper is because that whenever you do violate the Constitution, there are consequences for doing so. But the idea that when you violate the Constitution, because there are consequences for it, that it's not a violation of it's absurd. You're just basically saying that it's acceptable for them to violate the First Amendment because other people are doing it, because other federal agencies are doing it, and because it can possibly be forced to go back on that, such as its removal of Jimmy Kimmel from the air. I don't really see the argument there, that you're basically saying it does violate our First Amendment, but it doesn't have to. It could be a different organization. That doesn't make sense. Or it could be a different whatever the fuck you want to call it, agency. It doesn't make sense. Your argument just it doesn't.
I have
make
not
sense.
X-Rocks. There's been no need yet.
About the word existence, I guess you could make that imaginary idea that somehow means that it's not, that it doesn't, in a different way it wouldn't violate our First Amendment if it just wasn't the institution that it currently is. But to say that the powers that were given in its inception in the first place are not what makes it a violation is crazy, and I don't even fucking know why I'm debating that idea. So yeah, that's my time.
3 minutes is on the clock for you now, Circa. Starts with you.
This is a closing, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think this comes down to a really simple question. Are we judging an agency by its nature or by its worst moments? So the airwaves aren't an endless field. They're a narrow bridge. If everyone rushes at it at once, the loudest transmitter wins and everyone else gets pushed into the ditch. That's not really free speech. That's a power contest dressed up as liberty to be free speech. So the FCC's core job is coordination and like traffic control, like I mentioned earlier. Licensing, interference control, technical standards. It's closer to traffic lights than thought police. And yes, I'll say the quiet part out loud because it matters. The line can blur. The First Amendment fights happen on a continuum again, where managing the signal can slide into judging the message. When that happens, it should be challenged, narrowed, reversed, and that's what courts are for. And this is where Jefferson's warning still lands. Institutions have to fit the times, or they start pinching like an old coat. In the case I cited earlier, Sable versus FCC in 1989, this specific case was about making sure that indecency over telephone was punished more. So the consequences that Lonzo here was just talking about, I think he's unaware of the fact that the FCC is the way we actually give those consequences in some ironic twist. But none of that proves the agency is unconstitutional by definition. It proves something more ordinary and more true. Power needs guardrails. And again, some actions can violate. Existence does not. That's my closing.
All right. There we go. So that's the first one in the books, kids. Enjoyed that. Lonzo, are you live yet? Because I don't think that you ever joined the stream together. So in case you forgot to do that, you should have an invite in your whispers. The reason I ask is because I'm about to give everybody the code, the link to be able to vote. So yeah, if you're talking to us, Lonzo, that's why I assumed you're actually streaming, Lonzo. If you're talking to us, you're muted. Everybody click that link right there. That's going to give you the ability to vote on who you thought was the best debater tonight. Lonzo, can you hear me?
Yes,
Lonzo?
I just
There you
joined
go.
the thing there. I think I pressed it right.
You did?
I'm in it now.
Let
Yeah.
me make sure. It looks like, yes, sir, you are. I'm going to set that link one more time. Boom, so that way your chat can see it as well. Everybody go ahead and click that. Like I said, this is, it's free to vote. Takes nothing but a few moments of your time. And it really will matter because you never know when the judges are going to agree or disagree. You guys are the third vote, so you're the tiebreaker. So sometimes it matters and sometimes it doesn't. But I'm going to go ahead and once again, we'll start from the leftist. Tyler, are you ready to render judgment? 10 points to offer. No, you need a moment.
Second?
Let's Chief.
Yeah.
Yep, let's Chief. Are you ready, sir?
Yeah, ready.
They're still thinking. Yeah, okay.
No,
cool.
I'm good. I'm good.
All right, let's hear it.
I guess props to Lonzo for staying consistent when he answered my question about, any road law in a national park would essentially be a violation of the Constitution. So props to your consistency. But I feel like, the burden to prove violations of the First Amendment wasn't met. It was simply asserted. I do like your point about like other agencies doing it, like being like I think that was a good pushback. For Circa, I feel like the technical justifications for the existence of the organization were like really strong and held a lot of ground. Lonzo, I feel like there's a difference between when you're just like talking like on a stream on camera about your beliefs versus when you have to prepare to like defend a belief against someone else. And, like you just have to bring a little bit more to the table evidence wise for that. For that reason, I scored the debate 2-8.
2-8. 2-8 for Circa. All right, Tyler, let's hear where you're at.
Okay, so what I saw after listening to these arguments, hearing your guys' points, hearing how you interpreted the prompt and where you were coming from, I feel like the ground zero of this argument was, do these powers that the FCC have that potentially violate the 1A sometimes poison the well for the entire FCC because they were there upon inception and it's rooted in this unconstitutionalism? Or are they just anecdotes we can reform away and they don't actually define it because it's actually a very small amount of what the FCC does? And I think that accurately represents where both of you guys were coming from. That being said, the Lonzo being the app, a lot of the arguments that Circa was making were him laying down the stepping stones. And Lonzo called him out for repeating himself. I think that was a very fine tactic to like, he was laying down the stepping stones and showing the audience and watcher a very clear path as to how he got to the logic he did. But what I didn't get from him is anything that a negative is supposed to do to invalidate your theory, your point that the inception of this was the reason why. And I just didn't hear. There were some. I don't say I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything strong enough to knock the legs out from under that argument. I think that some of the things you didn't like about what Circa was doing were actually very good tactics in a debate, and you might have felt gaslighted by it, but that's the reason he did it. It was close for me. I had it at 6-4. The closings actually, I had it at 7-3. The closing, Circa really almost came back as well. I almost put it 5-5 tie. I just didn't want to be that guy. I had to get off the fence. So that's the only reason I leaned toward Lonzo 6-4. It was pretty good.
It's 6-4 to Lonzo. So you hear that, chat? Your votes do matter. So you guys are going to be the tiebreaker here. Please lock in your votes. And I'm going to give you guys just a couple more seconds to ruminate. Yeah, so very, very interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. I don't know about you guys, but I will say, and I'm going to hold my my own feedback for later. I will say that it was a good debate. One was definitely a more passionate performance, and one was a more restrained or more data centric. And so I enjoyed seeing the play off of each other like that. Both of those styles of debate, both of those tactics are equally effective. Like this is kind of what the judges were saying as well. Both of those are effective styles of effective styles of debate. It's cool to see how it's going to land with the audience and which one was more persuasive for the case. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and go over there. Everybody click that last fucking link, and we're going to go see. Okay, we only got 11 votes. There's like 25 of y'all out there total, I think. So y'all need to goddamn vote. But it looks like the no wins 7-3. So 3 goes to Lonzo, 7 goes to Circa, giving Circa a split decision win, and brings home the bronze. Good stuff. We will, of course, come back to that. It was a great debate, though, and for what it's worth, the score. Yeah, we'll have to see how the score lands whenever we put it on the boards. Thank you both for your debate. Please stick around, of course, and hang out, and feel free to mute and talk to your own streams and yell at everybody. And
Wait.
Yes, sir.
I really wish I could have said this in my closing argument, but it was just one thing I wanted to say. What is the difference for his argument about the FCC that you couldn't say for the ICE, and why it's not unconstitutional?
And we will save that for the after party. Again, remember, for those of you out in the audience, as well as the debaters, and this is also new, Tyler, at the 2-hour mark, once the debates are over, the after party is no longer open to everybody. The after party is just the 9 of us getting to discuss. If we can stick around, if you can't, that's fine. But it's just us getting to discuss. We're not going to have 15 fucking people trying to talk over each other and yell at each other. So that said, each of the debates gets 30 minutes, and we're gonna go through and hash it out as a group. So hold on to that, because that's a great question.
Correct.
And I would love to circle back to it, Lonzo.
We didn't really get to that, but
all right, everybody. So our next prompt,
Red Lion Broadcasting,
and our next
Company versus FCC, 1969. I think
once again, this
you
would be one of those times
commented that earlier, right?
Cool thing where I like
that is the fairness doctrine being upheld, right? Scarcity rationale is the signature move of it, right?
So
there's also National Broadcasting Code, 1943. Upholds FCC chain broadcasting regulation framework.
Most libertarian argument ever.
We never got to those things, though.
The ordinary citizen does not have a right to govern himself. We have Vigilante in the top right corners, agreeing with that statement.
And the amendment you're
down
thinking
there
of,
in the bottom left
actually,
corner, we have
Xrox,
Kanye
just to be
West
clear,
disagreeing with that
okay,
statement.
is not the 9th.
We have 3 minutes on the clock. You're gonna go
As far as
first,
I'm aware, no
Vigilante.
Supreme Court
I
has
assume you
really
know how this
used that
works, so
to
I
argue.
just,
It's the
I
14th
will go ahead and
Amendment,
start clock when you're ready.
and then the 5th Amendment. And
Yeah,
it's
so let's
specifically
start by defining self-governance. Self-governance, as defined by Webster, is
One sec.
having control or rule over oneself. It is also
Specifically,
important to define
okay,
what ordinary
Xrox,
citizen
if
is
you're in here.
this debate. As a term, it does not have a definition in itself, so we'll need to define the two
I
words
feel like
for
I
definition.
feel like
ordinary
that would be true, but
in
it's
relevance
not
to a
necessary.
given
The Fifth Amendment
phrase defined as
clearly says that
of common
nor be deprived of life,
equality, or
liberty,
equivalent.
or property without due
Citizen is
process of
defined
law.
as
It's a
a
relevance clause,
native or naturalized
procedural
person who owes
constraints,
allegiance
and
to the
then
government. So an ordinary
the
citizen
14th
would be
Amendment
someone who is a
clearly
native or
says, nor shall
naturalized
any
person
state
of
deprive
common rank who
person
owes
of life,
allegiance to a government.
liberty, or property without due process of law, or
There are
deny to
three
any
types
person
of
within its jurisdiction the
self-governance
equal
in theory:
protections of the law.
personal,
So the 14th
political,
Amendment is the
and
most
community.
applied use.
Personal self-governance is the ability to make decisions
Well,
about
outside of the
life.
First Amendment.
Political self-governance is
And
the
then
ability
Article 1,
for
Section 8.
citizens to govern collectively.
Clause 3 and Clause
Community
18.
governance is the ability for the community to govern itself without outside interference. Simply,
And
as long as we have
communications is considered a
representative government,
commerce.
especially, or,
So
as long as
regulating
we have
commerce with foreign
government,
nations among
especially a
several
representative
states
government,
and with Indian tribes
we will
is
not
the enumerated power
have the
hooks
right to
that
govern
Congress leans on
ourselves.
for
A representative
communications
government limits
regulation.
our personal autonomy. We
But we never
cannot
got
just
around to that.
choose
So
to behave and make decisions however we want. We have to do it within the values of society. As an ordinary citizen, we do not have the political self-governance as that would require us to have the ability to influence laws. The fact is, as ordinary citizens, we do not have the ability to influence policy. If we did, we would have codified abortion rights. We'd have universal health care. We would have free college. We would also have unified voter ID laws, all of which poll over 50% support by the ordinary citizenship. Lastly, we do not
Croatian?
have community self-governance, as local communities are beholden to the rule and governance of the state that they are in and the federal government. That's my time.
All right. 3 minutes is on the clock, Game Boy, for you to cross-examine. Question Vigilante as you see fit, sir. Game Boy.
No questions.
Game Boy. You are muted if you don't know it.
Push to talk.
Yeah, he's clicking on and off, so he's clearly having technical difficulties. I'm sorry, everybody. Please be patient. It happens to the best of us. Some of us more than once a night.
Looks like it's happening to the worst of us.
Oh,
I think you said no questions.
Nope, he
Yep.
did not say no questions.
Look, Game
How about
Boy,
now?
if you had one shot or opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment.
Mom's spaghetti.
He threw up on his sweater.
Wait.
Can you talk now, Game Boy?
Yeah,
Oh,
can you
sure.
hear me?
It's annoying
We
me.
can. Huzzah. 3 minutes is on the clock for cross-examination, sir. Start it when you're ready.
I wasn't really listening, so do you like PB&Js? Dead ass. You like PB&Js?
I mean, yeah.
Cool. I got time. So like, what are your politics?
I'm a progressive.
Like
Specifically, I'm
progressive
very
how? Like Bernie Sanders or like Hillary?
like the Bernie Sanders AOC style of progressive.
How old are you? Are you like MySpace age or like Vine age?
I'm 28.
That doesn't really narrow it down. You're kind of like in the middle. That's like those like Zennials or whatever they call it. You know what I'm talking
I
about?
would be a zillennial, yes.
Huh. I'm really trying to draw out time. Can I just cut this? Radish, can we skip to my opening?
Yeah, if you have no questions, that's perfectly fine. All right. So I will
All right.
stop the time there. 3 minutes is on the clock, Game Boy. Whenever you're ready, sir, go ahead.
Uh, honestly, I was kind of listening. I just didn't want to answer questions or like ask questions. I wasn't gonna define ordinary citizen. Not gonna lie, that was kind of. Oh, I mean, I guess we just assume what that is. Same thing with self-governance. If we're talking about the self, even in ways of like organizing, there's no reason to divide it up like personal, political, and community. Because like a community with political power is going to be political. The people in a community are going to have the same rights regardless of how you like chop it up. His whole nihilism is just like I don't it's not really useful. Like you're talking about the limitations of the individual just as much as you're talking about the limitations of a community. He just threw out the whole self-governance concept, which is, hey, if I don't stop you from actively doing something, then you're self-governing, which is like, yeah, that would be the same thing in a community or in a political atmosphere. You are competing with other people. You still have the right to advocate. You still have the right to try to get abortion rights or whatever. Um, it's still the self, just limited in your way of governing yourself and in how you implement that in a community. I mean, he didn't even like try to argue against the
No.
right of self-governance by just saying, okay, well, it's not applicable here, here, and here. Like, just because it's not applicable, just because it doesn't actively affect the world around you, doesn't mean you don't, if no one stops you, have that right to do what you want. He answered all my questions out of his own choice, and I didn't force him to do anything. So he proved the right of self-governance because when no one stopped him, he governed his own body. It like he like I don't know. That's pretty down to earth like definition, straight to the point. He didn't make a moral argument against it.
Isn't the
He didn't
prompt?
say,
Doesn't it say
"Oh,
citizen?
well, morally self-governance is
Does anyone
wrong.
remember the prompt?
Morally it's this, morally it's that." He just accepted, "Hey, if self-governance pragmatically worked, then
If the
morally
prompt
it
says
stands up."
citizen,
But he just said it morally
then what is he a
like
citizen of?
he's agnostic on it. So I mean,
Does anyone know?
I don't know. The useless classifications are what caught me off guard. Like, what's the difference between a community and a political body from the self and the community? If all of those are just different ways to divide how you choose to self-govern and apply yourself in that society. That's the rest of my time.
Right. Now, Vigilante. It's your time. Your chance to ask about favorite snack foods. Go ahead.
The ordinary
Yeah,
citizen.
yeah, no, sorry, I'm not. I'm
The
not
word
that
citizen
cool.
implies that.
So who dictates?
What does
who
the word
dictates the
citizen
policy
mean,
of the
guys?
country?
It depends on what country.
Does anyone know?
So specifically, our country. Who dictates the policy of our country, America?
Legislators and the executive branch for the most part, although you can get into the judicial branch. But if we're just talking generally, the government.
Oof.
Okay. Do we have a direct democracy?
Nah.
Okay. So with self-governance, one of the big things is being able to live up based upon your own values. So if you
Oof.
believe that it's okay to unalive someone because they commit a sex crime, can you act on that without consequences?
No, but at the same time, you're assuming like if you have the right to self-govern, that other person doesn't have the right to self-govern. Like that doesn't make that's not cohesive.
So if you're bigoted and you don't want to service or employ a member of a minority group, are there consequences to that?
Yeah. I mean, there's an argument about whether there should be, I guess, but I mean, you can just build off the concept of self-governance and then like change the system, I guess. A lot of people who like make that argument also reject self-governance to begin with. So I don't see the point.
Yeah. So I'm going to end my time here in a second, but just to be clear, the prompt is should we have, or not, is it not should we have self-governance? It is do we have the right to have to self-govern. So just want to be
Yeah,
clear
but
on that.
even if you for like be clear here, just because you have the right to something doesn't mean
Thank you.
you have the right absolutely. Like you can have the right to something
You're
and
getting a
it
lot of
still be
subscribers lately.
heavily
Thank you very much.
restricted.
Kind of fun.
I mean,
Oh wait, no, that's him.
is okay. I'll
Uh,
throw in another question. Is the
good
right to
for
self-governance in the
yeah.
Constitution?
Good for
I think the right to
I'm
self-governance
retarded.
is a principle in the Constitution, and it's recognized in various
Shit.
forms.
Oh,
Like
We
the
had to
more
share
you
it, though.
accept
like which
certain
part?
individual rights, the more you accept the broad idea of self-governance. Like you don't have to spell it out to say, okay, well the First Amendment is covering this form of self-governance. The Second Amendment is covering this form of self-governance. The Fifth Amendment is protecting this style or this privacy in order to maintain self-governance. Like the idea of self-governance tied to dignity, I think is kind of spelled out, even if it's not explicit. I don't know. I feel like that's an interpretation of the Constitution half the time.
10 minutes is on the clock. Y'all just go ahead and roll right into the conversation.
Yeah. So let me clarify. What do you feel like self-governance is?
Low key, I copied and pasted into my notes the exact definition you had from Merriam-Webster. We're in agreement of the definition.
Okay. So we're using the same definition. Cool. So you so you kind of you like somewhat refuted me breaking it up into the three parts, because the three parts are like when we talk about the theory of self-governance, the three parts of self-governance are very important.
Yeah, I think it's a useless classification because it tries to break up self-governance into how it's applied rather than the actual right in of itself. Just because you can classify it in different ways, that's just how you're applying it onto society, not the actual, okay, does it exist? Is there right for it? Should we do things and take steps to recognize it in this way and that way? All you're doing is classifying it just so it's easier to point it out in society and say, okay, well, this is a good example of community self-governance, but that's only just because it's a whole bunch of individuals using their shared values in a certain way and using the right to self-governance that they have of current.
Okay. So let me pull some. Yeah. So I mean, are you fully without restriction able to just live according to your values, like in any way, shape, or form?
No, but the prompt doesn't say you have an absolute right to self-governance.
I mean, the definition of self-governance that we're both going with is having control or
Yeah,
rule over
but
oneself.
this is kind of the same idea with like freedom of speech. Do you have a right to freedom of speech?
It is granted to us limitedly via the rules outlined in the
Okay, then
Constitution.
I think that we have a limited right to self-governance, but yet again, we still have the right to self-governance the same way. Okay, you can't slander someone without having some punishments in the legal system, but at the same time, hey, you still have the right to freedom of speech. I hope we continue to recognize that right in order to maintain the right to protest, the right to activism, and stuff that are very important, even in our dialogue right now. The same thing with me demonstrating my principles right now. I'm demonstrating my right to self governance and how I choose to live my life. But at the same time, I think if you have to recognize the right to self governance, you also have to recognize the right of self-governance from one another, and that is in of itself a constraint. Like if I recognize your right to self-govern, then I can't kill you even if I think, oh, I have the right to self-govern.
Yeah, but having the right to self-govern is effectively having control over your actions and being able to live according to your values, regardless of whether or not they affect others.
It doesn't. It doesn't say that in the definition you gave. It says if I don't stop you, then you have the right to do what you please, but that doesn't mean that there aren't active constraints. Like, if we're talking about the ordinary citizen, the prompt doesn't say you have the right to self-govern for you as an individual. It says the ordinary citizen does, which implies, hey, I can't hurt you, you can't hurt me, because we both have the right to do as we please without others stopping us.
Okay. Do we as ordinary citizens have any ability to influence making laws?
I think we do to a limited extent, but it's kind of, you're gonna have to prove how that directly relates to self-governance in my personal life.
So that's moving on to political self-governance. So because self-governance isn't just you're focusing on personal self-governance. Self-governance isn't just the ability to make your own decisions.
I
It's
think all forms of self-governance stem from personal self-governance. If you can prove that exists, you can prove self-governance extending to all forms of human life in a society.
Well, one of the big parts of political self-governance is the ability to make and influence laws. Obviously, we don't have a direct democracy here in America, and our politicians clearly don't listen to us when we have very clear uh, things that the people want unanimously, whether those are left-wing opinions or right-wing opinions. So, how do we have political self-governance in any way, shape, or form? Because we have no influence over the rules.
I I how would how would I as an individual even be able to influence a country that would be satisfactory to political self-governance? Because even a direct democracy doesn't take into account the other 99% of people who don't hold my view. When you're talking about popular like opinions and stuff like that, you are accepting that there's a minority opinion. And I think that comes with just facts of nature, and that doesn't invalidate the idea of self-governance, as in a country can lead separate from other countries interfering with it. For example, among other forms of self-governance, as in fighting for political rights and stuff like that, I think you are granted certain aspects of self-governance in political society without dismissing the idea of, hey, sometimes you just have a minority view, or sometimes the system's flawed.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the ways that if we actually could govern, that we could influence making the rules, even in the system that we have, is if we as ordinary people got together and went to a lawmaker and requested, "Hey, push for this law to get passed," and they actually did that. But as we can see, due to how the system actually
Yeah,
functions,
but
unless you're
if
donating
nine
them
people
thousands
go
and
to this
thousands of
guy,
dollars, they're not going to do that.
yeah, but if 9 people go to Ted Cruz and say, hey, stop going to Fiji every time there's a hurricane, but then one person's like, hey, as you can go to Fiji as long as I'm with you, like, you're not recognizing that minority view of self-governance even by your own standard.
I mean, when we're the only way that you'd ever have true self-governance is in an anarchist system. That's one of the reasons why I don't believe that we have self-governance, is
Yeah, but
because
you're
unless
still on the
we were to be
fact
in
of
an anarchic.
absolute self-governance. I don't think the prompt inherently implies that, especially when you're talking about self-governance for the people in general rather than the individual. I mean, you can't even have that view of self-governance unless you're like an egoist who like only thinks alone, no one else has self-governance, therefore I alone can do whatever I want, and everyone else doesn't have the right to anything. Da 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 da. If you're talking about ordinary citizens, you're still implying, hey, there's a citizenship, and we all have equal rule of law rights that we need to recognize, and the political system must work around us as a majority not as us as individuals, but us as a community. Like this again goes back to your like classifications and everything like that. That's just showing how self-governance applies to a society. It doesn't show that there's actually a different form of self-governance from personal, community, and political. It's just how do we apply our rights in these different and unique ways?
Well, I mean, yeah, the whole point of my opening statement was to show what self-governance is, what are the three main aspects of self-governance, and to briefly
Yeah,
explain
but I'm saying that
why
you're
we don't have
misconstruing it.
self-governance.
I think you're misconstruing it because it's easier to defend the flaw of self-governance by saying, hey, the system would allow us to implement all our beliefs and ideas, even though that's impossible because if you if I have my beliefs go through, you used as an example of, hey, if self-governance was real, these policies would be implemented. I disagreed with some of those. If I disagreed with some of them, then are you negating my right as an ordinary citizen to self-govern in favor of your own right? Like it's just an unfair way to classify as
A
self-governance.
citizen can't be their own citizen. They have to belong to a country.
We've got 5 seconds. I mean, I get what
I'll let you answer that if you want.
saying.
You can roll over.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I mean, at the same time, it's like I said, the only way we would ever truly have self-governance is in an anarchist system, for that exact reason, because there will always be rules set in place by a government.
All right, so that's time. Great back and forth, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Enjoyed to hear that. So I do have my questions for each of you. Again, I get to go first because I can. Vigilante, you first, sir. And I'm actually going to try to remember to click the fucking timer, even though I don't think it's going to be an issue. Vigilante, in your opening, or no, I suppose it was actually in your cross examination, you made an implication that, or you were asking Game Boy if the right to self governance was in the Constitution. So my question to you: do you believe that all inherent rights are codified or protected by the Constitution?
No. Well, no. I mean, I more so go like personally go off the the UN's Universal Declaration of Rights. But I don't. The right isn't even there in that. So.
Okay. And my question, or I'm sorry, now we're going to go over to who asked the first question? Tyler, you go first this time again. How about that?
Okay, so the theme of these questions are going to be questions I wish you guys asked each other during the debate. So, Vidge, you're first. If you see self-governance or a self-governing person decides to offshore some of their power or responsibility over to a political representative, and they're doing that willingly as somebody that is self-governing, they then are no longer self-governing.
Can you ask that again for me? I'm sorry. I want to hear that again, please. Can you ask that question again, Tyler?
So somebody, a self-governing person, let's say in your anarchist perfect society where it actually is, they get together and they decide with their power of self-governance that they want to offshore, they want to delegate some of their power to vote to a political representative, somebody that specializes in government. They decide they want to hire an expert pool together and give that person their power. By them offshoring that power to a representative and hiring him based off their free will, does that no longer make them self-governing?
Yeah, so I would say that makes them no longer self-governing. That's it's just like the question of like, can you willingly give up your like right to privacy, which is something that's been brought up throughout the U.S. politics for a while because of the Patriot Act. If we like willingly cede to give up a right, you no longer have that right.
Okay. And let's, Chief, your turn. Question for Vigilante, please.
I think I just need more of a clarifying question about a point you made earlier. Can you just go back into how you were saying that we have like no real influence over the rules in the like the U.S. government and tie that back to your point for me?
Oh, okay. So, so as I defined so it specifically ties into political self-governance, which is the ability for citizens to govern collectively. And in that specific level of political self-governance, it specifically is when citizens collectively rule themselves rather than being ruled by another power. So like if with us not really having influence over like the politicians actually putting stuff into law, that effectively means that we don't have the right to self-governance because we have no influence over what rules are actually put in place in the system because, well, our politicians don't listen to us and they have no incentive to actually listen to us.
All right, good stuff. Game Boy, your turn. So during the debate, you made a reference, and I'm pretty sure I understood this, so I want to clarify it. You implied that self governance was a moral position. Can you please explain why it is that you believe that self governance is the more moral position?
I didn't say that. I was more implying that he wasn't making a moral argument against it, so that I would just have. He's making a pragmatic argument, or like just a fact of like, hey, if it pragmatically can't work, it doesn't exist. If we can't point to it working in society, then it doesn't exist. Rather than, hey, look at the moral contradictions of self-governance. It's just, hey, look, I can't find self-governance anywhere. And I mean, by saying that, he's demonstrating a form of self-governance, which is kind of contradictory.
That makes sense. I'm gonna go to you this time. Let's Chief. Let's Chief, if you would be so kind, sir.
Of course. What's up, Game Boy? Um, so an internet famous um form of like self-governing citizen would be the ever so famous sovereign citizen. Game Boy, if I declare myself a sovereign citizen, would I have the right to self-govern the way I please, which is to reject the jurisdiction of courts, law enforcement agencies, and other established government agencies?
Um, no, I think I was trying in the debate to make it clear that I don't believe in an absolute self-governing position, nor do I think the prompt implies it. And I think, especially if you're looking at the prompt, it's saying like, oh, it's an ordinary citizen, which implies that you're part of like a government and all of this. So with a view of sovereign citizens, they're directly denying the law and saying, "Hey, we're beyond the law. The law doesn't apply to us because this, and this." And I mean that's just not how that works. I think if you're talking about sovereign citizens, like you have to take into account that they are rejecting the laws around them, the community around them, and they're not technically beyond self-governing, but they are violating a form. I they're violating the laws around them, which may suspend their right to self-govern and lead them to prison and jail and the such.
And Tyler, Mr. Average Debate Enjoyer, your turn.
All right, going sticking with the theme of shit I wish you guys asked each other. I kind of want to figure out, game, what is the limiting factor of self-governance for you? By your definition, it seems like you're saying that self-governance, absent of nobody stopping you, is the ability to make choices. Meaning, if the government allows you to make certain choices, like what kind of jelly you want on your peanut butter and jelly, that's self-governance. And by this definition, you're giving no limiting factors. Essentially, every single form of government, no matter how authoritarian, would have been self-governing under your current definition. I want to give you a chance to clarify that.
Can you restate the last part? No government
Yeah,
is self. Yeah.
every single government, based on how vague and broad your definition is, even the most authoritarian dictatorships would have still been self-governing society because they left their people with some choices. So
I
I
I
want you to
think
kind
that's
of give me more, either more caveats or things like that to better hollow out what your definition is.
No, I think
I just
that
realized
it
that
is
Rob
fair to say, okay, all
Rob
societies
sounds
to
like
some degree
the
have a form of
fucking
self-governance. I think we
the
can
fucking
just look at
toucan
the
or where the fuck it
morality
is from
of that
Aladdin,
government
bro.
and say,
What is-
okay, well, hey, it's wrong to kill people, it's wrong to do this, it's wrong to do that, and we can look at the morality of a government and say, like
Oh my god.
he was saying earlier, like, okay, the government doesn't allow us to do these certain things and be this
What is it,
active
dude?
into politics, the system's corrupt, and I agree those are problems. And I think those are limiting factors on
Dude.
self-governance beyond what
Lego,
I
dude.
would like to see, and I think we should change the system. But we still have an inherent right to certain things. I mean, if you look at North Korea or something like that, we can see, hey, they don't have a lot of rights there, and there's
Dude,
a
you'll understand as
whole
soon
bunch
as
of problems there, and we need to step in and stop those problems. But they still have the right to do certain things, like work and feed their families, which, I mean,
Oh my
doesn't
god, I'm
sound
dead,
like a
bro.
lot,
I'm
but
dead.
it
Where the
is a
fuck?
form of self-governance.
Where...
It's just a broad term.
Holy fuck.
Cool. Once again, great questions, great answers. Looking forward to seeing how this one lands. Both of you guys have 3 minutes on the clock now.
Dude,
To
where
put
the
one
where the where
cherry
the
on
where?
top for us. Vigilante, that's you first. Clock will start whenever you're ready. This is your closing
Just
time.
want to show him the definition, bro. What is this, Rob?
Yeah, so I just want to reiterate the prompt, which was that the ordinary citizen does not have the right to self-govern. There's a reason I clearly outlined what self-governance
Yeah, right
is,
here.
so that way we can understand what self-governance is in theory. Obviously,
And I'm like, well, where's
we
that
have
definition
some
at? Trust
degree
me, bro.
of
That's the
self-governance,
real
but
definition.
we cannot
So what he does
self-govern.
is he takes
We
the
cannot
harm
make all of
to
our personal
Christians that
choices
could come
for
from a
ourselves.
secular
The
society
government
and
limits
redefines
what
the term
we can
secular to
do
be
as
what
far
we're not
as
allowed to harm Christians.
making our choices
Have a
after
cracker,
our own
pretty
values.
Polly. Pretty
You
Polly.
bigot, a bigot,
Your Majesty
you
certainly
are
has a way.
against the LGBTQ, like the one Baker case that the right
Then
loves to bring up.
simultaneously,
You cannot just reject people from being part of getting service
Oh
inside
my
of
fucking
your
lord, bro.
company because
Dude,
you
Rob
don't
is
like that the fact that they're
Lego,
gay.
Lago.
Get any more?
If
I gotta
somebody commits
choke
a
down
sex
on
crime,
quick, and
you
then
can't just go off and unalive them because
he
what
says,
they did
well,
was
if
wrong. You're
Christians
going to
ran
get
things
punished for that.
hypothetically bad.
That limits your ability to have
Oh
self-governance.
my god, bro.
Therefore, you don't truly have self-governance because you cannot make decisions for yourself. With political self-governance, the whole point of political self-governance is to be able to influence laws and
Oh my god.
actually make the policies that govern society.
Dude.
We do not have that ability because
Jasmine,
we
where are you?
defer that ability to
Out in
the
representatives.
menagerie.
And
Hurry.
then we also have
I'm
no
coming.
influence over the decisions those representatives make because the way that the system is set up, they
You
have no
got a
incentive
problem?
to actually listen to us. And
And
as
Christians
far
in the
as
future
community
could harm
self-governance
other
goes,
Christians.
again,
And I have to be held
because
to that
the
standard.
community
But
is
he doesn't have to
beholden
be
to the
held to a
rules
standard that
and governance of the
secularists
state
could
and
harm
federal
Christians
governments.
because he has a
The
unique
community
definition
does not
that he
have
can't point to
self-governance either
anywhere
because
else.
it cannot just make
So it'd be
whatever
no
rules it
different than if I
wants.
said, well,
It
my
cannot just-
definition of Christian nationalist is they're never allowed to harm other
It
Christians.
can't make
You
murder
see how
legal.
stupid
It can't
that
make
is?
This is Merriam-Webster.
That's the point.
Is this Merriam-
vigilantism legal. It's still beholden to the rules that the federal and state governments set up for it, just like everybody is.
All right. Game Boy, 3 minutes on the clock for your close, sir. I'll start the clock when you do.
Merriam-Webster definition wrong?
I don't know.
Considerations.
I
Sure.
feel
Now
like
apply it to the prompt.
the closing arguments
No,
from
wait, I
him
thought
are
you
just
said
a
that's not
Apply
what
it
Merriam
to the
Webster
prompt.
said.
the opening
Rob.
arguments.
Be clear.
Kind of
Blacks
fun.
are
I don't know. Like, I would like to say, hey, let's break it down. Let's go point by point and look at. Here's how
protected
we
class.
actually do have a whole bunch
You-
of
And I'm
power
allowed
in the
to say,
government.
Your
Here's how
race-
we
I will
do
never
this,
hire.
here's how
Let
we
me
see
do
it.
finish.
that.
I'm allowed to say,
But there's no
I'll never
reason
hire a
to
black,
go
but
down
I'll allow
that
them
rabbit
to
hole.
apply.
If
You're
at
allowed
the
to
end of
apply. I
where
just
did
am
he go?
telling you I'll never hire you.
This
At
is
the
why
end of the day,
discrimination
Fine.
lawsuits are hard, Rob.
that's not important. He's mainly attacking the application of the right to self-govern, regardless of whether it exists or not. He's saying, okay, well, we have a whole bunch of limiting factors on the right to self-govern. It doesn't exist because you can't do this, can't do that. but he's mainly focusing on the political aspects rather than the personal aspects, which is where this all stems from. When he's talking about the political, he is saying, well, if I talk to my governor, if I talk to our president, then it can't do, and he's not going to do anything, well, then my right to self-govern is violated. Well, he's still talking from a first person's perspective on how he's directly relating to the political bodies. It it's very much if I don't get what I want, it's not really working. And he's coming at it from,
Anyways,
okay, well,
the point that I'm trying to make
governing
here is
people
this is what
want
you've done.
this,
You
and
take
a
the
vast
definition of
majority, and a
secularism.
Rob, what does this
vast
definition
majority
say?
want this, we want that, we want
You
this,
take
and
the
we're not
definition
getting
of
it.
secularism. You
But
it,
like,
it
does
that's
that
says
how it's gonna
rejection
work.
of
You're still, if that all goes to plan,
Hold up,
the
let him
vast majority of people
let
want
Rob
these
How
finish.
long do I have to let him go on?
and
Then
they
you can get
get it.
you can get
Well,
off here
then
whatever you want to
think
say
about
after.
the
What does that
right
say?
of
the definition.
self-governance of that 5% who don't want that. It's
How
still
long do I have to let him go on?
And then you
it's
can get
ignoring
off here whatever you want
like
to say
just
after.
natural constraints
What does
You
that say?
take the
that
def-
are always going to exist, and making this very weird and broad generalized
All right,
view
go
of
ahead. I got a
self-governance that
dispute for now.
I don't think
you take the
we're willing
definition of
to
secularism, which
all
says
agree
again
to,
the
or have to
the
use
indifference to or
universally in
rejection
the
or exclusion
past.
of religion and religious
Nor
considerations. And I'm like,
will
well,
I
here's the
say,
problem. If you have a government
have
that
we
does
all
that,
said, okay, well, I have the right to self-govern, I have the right to freedom of speech, I have the right to bear arms, I have the right to this, I have the right to that. We've never talked about it as absolutes half the time. I mean, Gorp has said it in the past. Hey, if I yell fire in a theater, is my
Nope.
First
How you doing?
Amendment right violated? Like,
Oh wait, that's I can never tell whose fucking
no,
chat it is.
that's
Fuck me,
that's
dude.
stupid.
Holy
I
shit,
was
this is
about
so
to say a
funny.
different word. So I don't know.
Go
I'm
on.
just
Then
a
you can
baby,
get
though.
you
Don't
can
take
get
my
off
words too
here
hard.
whatever you want to say after.
What
it
does that
says
say?
rejection of.
That's
Hold up, let him let
All
let
right.
Rob
How
finish.
long do I have to let him go on?
And then
Yeah.
That's
So
what you've done.
for
You
those
take
of
the
you
definition of
who are
secularism.
Rob, what
new
is
to
this?
Game Boy
Does it?
style,
And that's
that is,
irrelevant
that is
anyways.
Game Boy right there.
So
in a
clearly, we're
nutshell.
talking about. I was trying to say, is he,
chat. I'm gonna drop the link in here.
let-
I
for
was
you
trying to
guys.
say, as he kept interrupting. No, I don't
Vigilante
know why
was
you're
the
saying,
guy on
does
the
this
top
say
here.
state? But
Ooh,
your
I can
prompt
do it
says
like
secular
this.
state.
Yeah,
So clearly,
if
we're
you're
talking
voting
about
for
state.
F,
That's
you are
literally
voting
what I
for
was
this
trying to
gentleman
say.
here. You
But
are
if you're going to
voting
be an
for
asshole and say
Vigilante.
that specific
He defended
definition,
the
does
prompt,
it specifically say
and
state?
the
Well,
person who
no,
was tearing that
it
prompt
doesn't.
down was
And that's irrelevant
Game Boy
anyways.
64 right here. So, if
The
you
point that
felt
I'm trying to make here is this is what you
Vigilante on
Rob, what
the
does
say.
it
Does
top
this say
made the
state?
better case,
But you're.
then
I don't know
click
why
yes.
you're saying, does
If
this
you
say
think
state?
that,
But your
if you
prompt
think
says
that Game
secular
Boy did the
state.
better case,
So clearly, we're
then go ahead and
talking
click
about
no.
state. That's
Now,
literally what I was trying to
who
say.
did I make go
But if you're
first?
going to be an
Chief
asshole
went
and say
first last
that
time,
specific
so
definition,
this time
does
you
it
don't get
specifically
to
say
go
state? Well,
second.
no,
Tyler,
it doesn't.
you
And
are
that's
going to go ahead
irrelevant
and open up
anyways.
our
The point
judging
that I'm trying to
portion.
make here is this is what you've done.
What'd you think?
You take
Where'd
the
you land?
definition of secularism.
Rob, what does this definition
Rejection
say?
of. You take the
I
definition of
think this one was a
secularism.
little
You
more
you
clear cut.
it,
What
it
does that
says
say?
rejection of.
So this wasn't a prompt.
Hold up.
debate,
I
this
don't know
was
why
more of a
you're saying does
definitional
this say
debate, it looks
state,
like to me.
but your prompt says secular
We were
state. So
arguing
clearly we're
maybe more of
talking
an
about state.
interpretation of the
That's literally
definition.
what I
The
was trying to
definition was
say.
agreed upon
But
by
if you're going to
both
be an
people,
asshole and
but
say
their
that specific
interpretations were different.
definition, does it
One was
specifically
arguing
say
that if we
state? Well,
don't have
no,
absolute
it doesn't.
self-governance,
And that's irrelevant
any lacking
anyways.
in it, even
The
if
point that I'm
your
trying to make here
self-governing
is
choices
this is what you've done.
made you offshore
You
some
take
of
the
your
definition of
responsibilities to a
secularism.
Rob, what does this
third
definition
Rejection
say?
of.
that would be no longer self-governed.
I don't
To
know
me,
why you're
that
saying does
invalidates
this say
any two
state?
people working together and having to make any compromise. You're no longer self-governing if you have a friend or a wife or a business partner or any form of cooperation. It's not just anarchism, it's complete solutionism is the only way to have actual self-governance. Though I did disagree with games.
This was so bad, dude. I'm all like, what does this say, dude?
What I was looking for was him to go back to what a self-governing nation
Reprobates?
is. So according
Hey,
to
Birdman.
the Declaration of Independence,
Dude.
government are instituted.
You know what,
Governments are
what Rob
instituted
sounds like to
by
me? He sounds like
deriving their just power
he sounds
from
like
the consent
fucking
of
Lago
the
from
government.
Aladdin.
It rejects or
Whenever
excludes
any
religion or
form of
religious
government becomes
considerations.
destructive to these ends, it is the
Eventually,
right
that
of the
could
people
lead to being
alter or
hostile
abolish
to
them.
those
So there is your
He
right,
says
and
no,
there is your
because
duty
my
among the right.
unique
Your right is to be
definition.
He's
of
Lago,
secularism
dude.
says that we
He's the bird from Aladdin.
to rule you.
Like, he is the bird from Aladdin, bro. It's like,
You need to be consented on by the people.
no.
Majority. We find that through voting. So this
See?
idea
Yeah,
that
I got you.
self-government suddenly ends as soon as you decide to use use it in a way that sets
Holy
up any
fuck, bro.
structure. To me, just did not clear the bar.
You're just
and
hearing
I
them in the
feel like-
background.
as the AF, you had John defend that, and he was going after the First Amendment point he made. Even though he went off into a different tangent about if that right actually exists or whatnot inside the
And I'm like,
Constitution.
where's that definition?
The actual point he made there was just destructive. That to me was what won him the argument. And I didn't hear a good
Fucking
enough
Lago, bro.
refutation of his First
Dude, he's
Amendment.
Gilbert Gottfried, yeah. Dude,
underneath him.
they're the same person.
So final score
Who's
was
screaming? Rob. I was debating Rob.
7-3 for the AF.
So this is my debate with Rob,
for
and
game,
like
for game.
he was
Oh, okay, so
fucking
3-7.
complaining for
Yeah,
like
no worries.
he was trying to define secularism with Merriam-Webster, right?
All right,
As
so that was
what it says right
3-7
here
for Game Boy.
is indifference to a rejection or exclusion of religion and religious consideration. So I pull up the fucking definition on Merriam-Webster as it relates to the state,
So y'all, you guys are the
right?
third judge. So there's a whole bunch of y'all out there. So I better see a whole bunch of votes.
And he's like,
let's see.
I'm like, what does it say, Rob? What does it say?
I landed
About secular states, right? That's in the prompt.
and
Secularism in
Game Boy
general.
about the lack
Are you
of a-
being stupid on
of the
purpose?
prompt
Or
being an absolute
what one question?
right to self-govern. Feel like Game Boy made good points about. Even though some
To
of
word for word the
our
definition
rights
from
are
Merriam-Webster.
Did I use somewhere else? I thought Merriam-Webster was good, Rob.
I'm using Merriam-Webster. What is that you're using right there?
Merriam-Webster.
I feel
No,
like
it's not. What a
let's
shock,
see.
dude. What a shock, dude.
Scroll up, let's see.
I don't-
That doesn't look like Merriam-Webster.
Actually, only ended up like hurting you in the end, in that it showed like more opportunity for where it does like exist. That's just me.
Holy fuck, bro.
and
This is so
I
bad.
voted the same way, 3-7.
How in the fuck?
7 tie, or that's both judges agreed on
Holy
that. So
shit, dude.
that said, that means that the audience vote is just for
I agree, man.
show.
I agree. Nice to meet you, by the way.
We're just because we do keep
My
scoring,
debate,
your votes
okay,
do still matter,
just so you're up
please
to
lock
date.
in.
I debated him
let's see what you
Thursday,
guys think.
If they vote
and I gave him a prompt that was, in the United States, secularism is more beneficial to Christians and Christian faith than Christian nationalism.
The actual
And he was like, no, secularism means rejection of faith. And I'm like,
for purposes of
complete the definition, Rob. Come on. Come on. He's like, no, this is what it says. So I pull up the fucking relating definition when it's a government or state.
Like I said,
is what we're fucking talking about.
I'm
like, I forced him to read it.
definitively
Oh,
a person
fuck.
was
Yes, it is.
beaten matters.
It's
in the
being
grand
covered by
scheme
the
of the
versus
ranking.
sign, bro.
And that's actually one
Look,
of
it
the
says
reasons
right here.
why,
What does that say?
despite
Merriam-Webster, I
what
think?
logic would dictate, Rufus has
Secularism.
only
Now,
won one
indifference
debate.
to
Of or
that
relating to the
he
government
actually is
rather
in
than the church.
pretty high ranking.
Wow.
Because
Now let's go to
It's that-
secularism.
what's the-
What
those
is-
debates are usually
but-
really close. So
Are we talking about the same group as this?
Dude.
we are indeed, Game Boy. We are indeed. So it's an interesting
Hey,
fly
Rob.
in the ointment, but we'll discuss that. some other
Definitions
time.
are
That's not
hard.
Merriam-Webster.
I've given everybody
That
a
says
little bit of time
Oxford.
here.
Definitions are
we'll
hard. It
go
says
ahead
Oxford.
to votes. If you guys are
Yeah.
still clicking,
Beardy is Rob
get
Nor.
in
Beardy is Rob Nor.
in about 3.
What the fuck are? Okay, I can
2,
share my screen as well. I guess.
1, and
Dude,
now.
he's definitely.
Fuck.
Excellent work, Iago.
Jesus Christ, it takes nothing. Just click the
Really
fucking
unescapable.
thing. All right, so we only got 10 votes here, people. We only got 10 votes out of all of y'all. But that's where we're locked in, and it is 6-4 for the app. So it looks like the audience was on your side here.
Oh man. I
Vigilante.
mean, Gran.
You got.
I'm not gonna answer that. Why would I waste my time with such a pathetic fucking person?
So
What the
even
fuck
though
is the
it
point?
was a
They just
loss,
hate
at
me.
least it was a
I swear.
At least it was
I
a
mean,
split decision.
if we remember the debate, you know what Rob
Alright,
opened
so,
with?
well, you did do some
After
weird
my
shit
opening,
there,
like,
boy. We'll discuss that a little
come
bit
on
later,
now.
but,
A political
you
loyalty
definitely
Just
made
because
made
I use
Right here.
dirty tricks doesn't mean I
Nope.
didn't win.
You made some,
Persuasion,
you made some
repentance, and
bold
voluntary
choices, is
faith,
all I'm saying.
not
I'm
by
saying you didn't
coercion.
win or you did- yeah, I
When you
just-
fuse Christ with the machinery of the law, you don't protect the gospel. So Graham, I'm just gonna play my opening again, and then I want you to like think about the way I interact here, okay? Because the first thing Rob says is the most pathetic shit I've ever heard in my entire life. You rebrand it, and you incentivize reformative Christianity, and you punish dissenting Christians, and you turn outsiders' first encounter with Jesus, or maybe long time believers in Jesus, into a political loyalty test, and that's a stumbling block, not evangelism. So what happens when you bolt Christian onto the state? Someone has to decide what counts as a Christian enough. That is a fact. And once you build a purity test, you've already invited Caesar into the pulpit. You've turned faith into a compliance department, and a secular state does something modest but powerful. It protects the church from political capture and keeps the gospel an invitation rather than a state brand. And that's my opening. All right. So, I don't know, Grand, if you're still in here, does that sound like I hate Christians? I mean, you heard me talking to Wyatt yesterday, right? Does it sound like I hate Christians? I was defending Wyatt yesterday against you, right? I don't hate Christians. Again, my girlfriend is Christian, and I value Christianity and religion a lot. I feel like it's the what I say in my debate here, what my response to him, right? Okay, so listen to what Rob says.
All right, thank you for that opening. And with that, we're going to hand it over to Rob. Rob, whenever you're ready for an opening, I'll start this timer up with your voice. And go ahead.
Okay, Nick, correct? Can I call you Nick? Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
I don't think we've ever interacted. Okay, so I'm not trying to be rude. Excellent. So I was intimidated at first because it looked like there was 3 of them. I was like, oh shit, like, right, we're debating 3 people at once. So now, interesting topic. So I think there's going to be sort of a lot of discussion on what we mean by Christian nationalism. In some sense, I think it's a term that both of us could agree that people have used to mean different things. For example, people I like Andrew Wilson, will use the term one way. Then there's people like, what's that author? I think it's something Wolf. He uses.
Sorry, he's gonna have his opening for a long time. We're gonna skip to the immediate after of openings, okay? Because that's when he can ask me questions. Okay.
To input socialism ever to get a.
Does he use the whole fucking 10 minutes?
That's just is not meetings of it. What equals no nation we can't only of course too well taken care of beneficial allow them to.
He used the whole 10 minute. Dude, you do not want to listen to this because I have a lot of videos I can show you that show that his definition in this one opening is just all over the place. But I want to show what he immediately says when we actually talk to each other, okay?
It's all that. So Testament think that living in our world.
He does use the whole 10 minutes. Holy fuck.
Today is the second state. Most importantly.
Just a quick reminder for everyone in the chat, all the
God.
super what we're gonna do next here is we're just gonna open.
So this is the first chance Rob gets to talk to me on, okay? So my opening was not anti-Christian at all. In fact, my whole argument is that to save Christians, okay? Right? You should not push them away by making a state religion, making earthly powers interrupt the prime directive of Christianity, which is try and save as many people as possible through Jesus Christ, right? Which, I mean, a lot of people would say that the United States is becoming less religious because of woke shit, but what's funny is the irony in there is not the case. I feel when I've talked to people, and when you look at the data, people who are non-affiliated are mostly Christians who feel like they can't identify with Christianity anymore because they don't like what they see. It has nothing to do with like atheism being popular. I'm still very much in the minority, okay? And I know there's like anti-theist atheists, but most of them, including my girlfriend, she was like pushed away from the church, and she wants to go to church. She does. I don't tell her not to, or tell her she can, or tell her she shouldn't, or even argue anything. I mean, I would go with her if she asked me. The point is that she felt like she couldn't go to church because of the church right now, or whatever church she was going to, not because woke shit. Okay, very interesting.
The floor rate up. I'm gonna have a 2-hour clock going here, but I'm not gonna even.
So, Grand, if you are still in here, just remember my opening, okay? Yeah, I mean, Bird, if you thought about this right now deeply, if I asked you to give me what his position was, like what was he trying to advance, in opposition to me? Like what were the good points? Like there are ways secularism is bad. Could you actually give me his position? Was that even like discussed? It wasn't. I didn't hear any argument against secularism, and there's plenty. There's scholarly literature on this. There's Hasberman. Okay, Hasberman has great work on this. where he talks about how the concrete language, if I'm not mistaken, is what he uses. Concrete language is, I think, the phrase in his writing to show that can get weakened, and that's kind of a big reason that there's this reactionary identity happening in Christianity right now in the U.S. Is a part of this, where they feel like their cohesive, concrete identity is being somewhat chipped away, right? Yeah. So Birdbanes, this is the beginning. My opening, I don't know if you heard it, right? But my opening was pretty sincere. Now his opening's long and shitty. I'm just gonna be honest. It's really not very cool. It also spans a definition of simply Christians voting with Christian morality as somehow Christian nationalism, all the way to Christianity and my preferred identity should be governing. That is insane. But the very first moment that he can talk to me, listen to what he says.
And have it on the stage here for you guys, so you guys can just go right into the open floor. If it gets, I'll only be here if it gets too much talking over each other, or if we get lost in the weeds somewhere. But other than that, I'm gonna let you guys handle it. So go ahead and jump in whenever you're ready. I'll start my clock up.
Nick, can I ask you? I will say I'm a Christian. Can I ask you if you are?
I'm an atheist agnostic.
Okay.
Not
just curious.
anti-theist, though. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. So like the debate will go wherever it will. I only ask for purposes of clearly when you're saying that it's beneficial to Christianity, it makes sense, because I'll tell you right out of the gate, and you could push back on this, and I know that not everything is universal. It's not always 100%, but most of the time when I see atheists or agnostics arguing what's better for Christianity, I believe they have an ulterior motive. I believe you probably don't care what's good for Christians, and you actually despise Christianity. And so I think that, a person who doesn't like Christianity saying, trust me, Christians, what would be best for you is to cede all political power, I find dubious right out of the gate.
Well, it's wrong, but that's a little bit further into the conversation, right?
Okay.
Just know that it is wrong. Cyber, like my girlfriend's Christian, and I value her beliefs pretty heavily. I think that religion in general is pretty... Yeah, I mean, what an interesting thing to say. I don't think there's an issue with it. I don't think there was issues with definitions. He just didn't want to accept them because the fact is that his argument isn't there. He never had a position, man. So when you don't have an argument, what you're forced to do is instead you have to find something to chip away at. And then you instead look at every single word inside of the sentence and try to contextually weaken the argument that you really have to face. Instead of that, you just start contextually weakening pillars of it. Which is a good tactic if you actually have an argument in some ways, especially if you know the definition's wrong, or like the word is wrong that you're using. But my definition of Christian nationalism, there's nothing wrong with it. And it's logically coherent. Now, his war of attrition at like the 5th or 6th hour, I believe made some progress into doing that. But ultimately, not really, because when I doubled down again on what it's actually supposed to mean, okay, which is policy framework that prefers your Christian national or your preferred Christian identity, and you use the state to privilege that. Those three things must be included. They're not like, it's not like a definition of fascism where it's like a checkbox, okay? In architecture, you have to have all three. Wouldn't Rob be concerned that the faith of Christianity is politicized? That's what I said in my opening. If you like in my opening, I said that now you've rendered unto Caesar and invited him into the pulpit, and now it becomes performative Christianity instead of an invitation to the faith. It is now you must follow this state, and I feel like that misses the point. And it can push Christians away. If the ultimate goal again is to save as many people as possible, then pushing Christians away who were Christians, who believed in Jesus, is the ultimate sin, I feel like. It's like exactly what the book of John kind of warns about consistently. At least in my opinion when I read it. There's a lot of times where Jesus says, you know, I am the good shepherd, right? Like that's for a fucking reason. Well, that's why I argued that secularism is better or more beneficial for most Christians. I didn't say secularism is more beneficial than whatever brand of Christian nationalism that the Christian nationalists get to use, because it's obviously going to be pretty beneficial to them, but they're not the majority of Christians. That's why when I asked Rob, do you believe in Mariology? Do you believe Mary's a saint? What if we use taxpayer dollars to put Mary inside of the classroom? And he was like, no, I don't like that. And I'm like, okay, you're getting there slowly but surely. And I was like, what about sacrament? He's like, if we're not forcing them to do it, I'm like, well, what if it's in the room? And then some kids do it, some kids don't. Do you feel that that's going to pressure some of the other kids who are Christian to do it? Or do you think they're just going to be like, well, my teacher says that she really likes when people do this. I don't want that for the Christian kid. You know what I mean? This isn't hard. It's fucking annoying. Relevant to the human experience and trying to understand the metaphysical. And I feel like it's a natural way in which humans are trying to understand the universe and the metaphysical. So
when you talk about what's beneficial to Christianity,
sure.
What metric are you using? Because beneficial
I have a
implies
prime argument, like a prime directive, but first we got to get some definitions down, right? So
okay, sure.
Your definition to me, I heard a few different things there. One was simply just using faith to inform them on how to govern. And then we went as far as Christianity needs to be governance. But where actually is your definition?
Well, I don't know that I said that. I said I think it would be beneficial for Christians to get involved.
Well, he does, though. See, Birdman's. He does, though. He actually makes the concession multiple times. But he does it knowingly, and then he decides to ignore it anyway. Multiple times. His opening, actually. Right?
Our governance. So another civic rights practical right now.
Hand it over.
Practical civic rights be given to you only if you're a particular denomination of Christian.
Yeah, sorry.
So
it might be, it's an SM57. And I have a pretty strong gate on it, so it might be that. I had to turn down my mic a lot during the debate. I bring up history. But Rob says this, actually. Watch.
For example, I wouldn't say you must be Catholic or you must be Orthodox or you must be Protestant to be able to vote. Or in fact, I wouldn't even say that you must be Christian in order to vote. Now, I do think that some of our civic duties should be given out based on higher criteria than we do today. There should be some sort of threshold. The threshold I advocate for, because I think it is the most practical right now, is you have to be an adult, 18 or older, who is able to show up at a polling place and vote the day of an election with an ID to show that you are a citizen of this country. If you have things like military service or you have a medical condition, fine. I'm okay with absentee ballot.
He did. I asked him. He said, Catholic, but non-denominational. I don't really go to church. I don't really know the Bible that well. That's what he said. I'm not kidding. I'm not paraphrasing him. I'm not trying to make him look stupid. That's literally what he said. I was like, okay. I'm not kidding. I'm not even like being bad faith there. In 1 sec. I'll just fucking show you.
Read the last.
And then we went as far as Christianity, the metaphysical. So.
if you're so when you talk about what's beneficial to Christianity,
Sure.
what metric are you using? Because
I
beneficial
have a
implies
prime
good.
argument, like a prime directive.
Thank
But
you.
first, I really we got to get some definitions down, right? So
Okay, sure.
your definition to me, I heard a few different things there. One was simply just using faith to inform them on how to govern, and then we went
Sure.
as far as Christianity needs to be governance. But where actually is your definition? He just hand waves it away. He thinks that it's doesn't exist. That's essentially what he did every time. He just continued talking, deflected to something else.
Well, I don't know that I said that.
He would say I used some fallacy, which is hilarious, and then go ahead and do that, especially the red herring one. He would be like, "You just did a red herring," and then like literally did a red herring. And again, when you're debating someone, pointing out fallacies is not how you deal with fallacies. It's usually a sign of someone who has no idea what the fuck they're doing. And I guess the online debate space is full of that. Knowing what to do when someone is doing or using a fallacy is more important than pointing it out. You just look like a fucking moron if you do that.
I think it would be beneficial for Christians to get involved.
Unless it is like clearly what needs to be addressed. Like a non sequitur is a pretty common one that you can just say. Because non sequitur just means, logically from point A to point B, there's no connection. As in the premises don't logically connect to the conclusion. Non sequiturs are just essentially saying that. So
their faith in how they vote and in governing, right? And that's what I mean. So when I talk,
there's nothing wrong with informing yourself with faith.
Well, so there's an implicit like sort of point in your opening where you're defining Christian nationalism in a very specific way, and I
Yes, I am. Yes, Rob, I am defining it in a very specific way.
disagree with that definition. So
Well, let me tell you my exact definition.
Let me real quick. Let me say, will you agree with this? And then you could give your definition that Christian nationalism can be and has been defined in many ways.
Sick. Sure.
Okay, and I'm happy to hear what your definition is. That's fine.
Okay. So in my opinion, we have two definitions we need to cover. Okay, which is political secularism. And secularism is just a governing principle, right, in which a state does not establish a religion, does not privilege one faith over others, and it protects the free exercise and equal citizenship regardless of belief, insofar as it helps those faiths as well. So it's funny, Cyber. If you want to know, most Christian denominations over time have very much wanted the church to handle problems within the church. Okay? Outside of a few, there's few renegotiations that happen, but most of the time it's usually the church that wants to handle things within the church for this very reason. The protection of faith. Not only that, but they know they have more control. In like Catholicism, the control over the ascension of bishops, the apostle ascension or accession or something like that, apostle accession, right? It's your comment about not prioritizing Christians. I don't think they do. Cyber, I did bring up John 18:30, 38 or 35, 36. And every time I brought up a Bible verse, by the way, he just hand waved it away. He literally just went like, "Fuck your John 18:35," and I'm like, "Okay." And then he just misrepresented it and went like this. My opponent is claiming that Jesus is some fucking hippie who just thinks that we should just abandon the community, and I'm like, I had to like fucking metaphorically slap him multiple times and be like, "Stop fucking doing that, dude. It's disrespectful." The fuck? Like, why can't you just say and argue with what I actually say, dude? For Christian values, it doesn't actually have any definitional strength or weight towards that. It doesn't prioritize, or it just has like a lack of prioritization there, right? It doesn't really care what religion it is. I guess in a way, it could prioritize a more Muslim culture, but it still is secular, okay? And Christian national. I don't know. I'm not even sure if he wants me back on. We'll see. I don't even know if I want to. So I haven't. I mean, I probably just have to remind him. I mean, maybe. I mean, as of right now, it seems like the door is open, but I really don't know if I want to. I'm serious. Like if I look back on it right now, and if I ask any of you in my chat right now, was it really positive? I don't really think it was, man. I don't think it was a positive debate. Isn't. Here's my analytic definition. Okay, a political program or identity framework that treats Christianity as a preferred national. I feel like I spent a lot of time on my closing for it to be overshadowed by like 6 hours of a dude who trapped me to talk about my definitions until the end of time because he had no position. And it was just shitty. Identity and seeks to use state power to privilege Christian symbols, doctrines, institutions, and law and policy. Would you agree with that?
No.
That's not the
Christian
part do you
nationalism
disagree with?
I don't think that it necessarily read.
So my definition of Christian nationalism again. Definition, okay? A political program or identity framework that treats Christian political program identity framework that treats a preferred Christian identity and uses state privilege to enforce or enact that Christianity as a preferred national identity and seeks to use state power to privilege Christian symbols, doctrines, institutions, and law and policy. Would you agree with that?
No.
What
That's
part,
not how That's not the
what
Christian
part do you
nationalism
disagree? So, like, obviously, I ask him what part you disagree with.
I don't think that it necessarily read the last half of that again.
And seeks to use state power to privilege Christian symbols, doctrines, or institutions in law and policy.
So I don't think it needs to prioritize symbols, etc. I don't.
In law and policy? Yeah, I said it's irrelevant, right? And I'm like, okay. Because Rob wanted to focus on the logic of my definition, and it wasn't working. Because there was a moment where it was, because I just couldn't remember my exact words of the definition again, right? I had to look it up. And then once I did that, he was kind of fucked again. Okay. Because the state privilege part is really important. But he wanted to focus on that. He's like, everyone's always doing Christian nationalism then, aren't they? And I'm like, no, they're not. Because when you vote, even if you're informed of Christian ethics, you're not trying to always advance your preferred national Christianity or Christian identity using the state as privilege for your version of symbolism, in law and policy or doctrine in law and policy. You just could not grapple with the whole definition together.
I think that that's part of what would be necessary for what I would identify as Christian nationalism.
What kind
to me,
of?
What I would.
And like, it doesn't really matter what he identifies as it. By the way, his identification of Christian nationalism is trash. His identification, again, went all the way from simply being informed by Christian morality to governance as a Christian principle, right? Like, those are two completely different things.
Separate myself is that, for example, I want Christians governing. I want a Christian to say, I'm against abortion, right? And here's the scientific reasons I'm against abortion.
He's just like retarded, I think.
And here's the practical reasons, but here's also how my faith informs me in my religion.
He didn't use a single one. No, he didn't use a single one. He really doesn't read the Bible. I don't think he cares. He didn't. Okay. I don't think he knew what I was saying when I said I called him the Good Shepherd. Okay? I'm serious. Like, if you try and go find that part, man, like, he didn't know what I was saying. It's somewhere around here. I really want to go fishing for it, but Like he really didn't know what I was saying when I was using that as a mocking remark, right? He just kind of just I don't know, it was weird.
As to why I'm
I thought he
against
would
abortion.
understand it.
And I think that's good. I want, for example, when we're talking about border security, I want Faith to inform our leaders in talking about why those policies are good for us as a country,
Okay.
including for us that are Christians with our Christian values.
Mhm.
That's what I want. People that are using their religion to inform why they, just like a
That's not just using your religion to inform, Rob. Because I'm fine with that.
socialist might want to elect someone
It's not religion. It's not relevant to the prompt. We're talking about secularism. He didn't understand it either.
that is openly saying my socialist values what lets me do this, or an atheist might want someone elected who says I want someone who's promoting their atheist values.
Well,
to
we can stop
inform
there
them.
for a second. That's bad. If an atheist wants to
I
enact,
disagree.
If an atheist wants to enact state atheism, and you think of a country in which that happened, it
That's
wasn't a
not,
good
you're
thing.
mishearing me. That's not what
Sorry. No, I'm not.
I'm saying. I didn't say I want Christians to enact state Christianity.
Yes, you did. You just did it without saying it because you're a bitch.
Did I say that?
I'm pretty sure you just agreed with me when I said
No,
it's
I
not,
did.
not a-
No, in fact, I'm saying quite the opposite. No, I don't.
So
want
there's
that.
no
I want them
state
to say,
law and policy, or there is?
Can you tell me? Can you tell me? Will you agree that Christianity is one of the levels of what Christianity operates is a moral framework for understanding the world?
To inform yourself? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Do you think that everyone that's elected uses a moral framework to help understand the world?
I would probably assume they do.
So why shouldn't Christians be allowed to do that?
That's not really the question, though, is it?
Well, that's how I'm defining.
I didn't toss them out here. And that was me just talking now, right? I didn't toss out insults. I can
Christian
give you a
nationalism, is it?
syllogism right now to show how that's not a good logical argument, okay? So
Okay, go ahead. Let's hear the syllogism.
Sure. So let's just start with human beings exist, right? You'd agree with that?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. This part's hilarious. My friend who watched this, who is a really good friend of mine, really intelligent person, because I asked him to watch these things. When he got to this part, he was like, "This is fucking over." He's like, "What the fuck just happened?" Because Rob had zero clue what was happening until until it was too late. If you understand what I mean. Do you agree that human beings are imperfect at capturing information?
Sure.
And it's expected now to think that human beings would be imperfectly able to capture Christian morality. Wait. Correct? Wait. No. Go back. We can't
I
perfectly
would say that
capture
as an
information.
well, it depends on what you mean by that. There's a lot loaded in that. What do you mean? I believe there's an
You
objective.
just
truth.
agreed
There
to
is
the first
objective-
two. You cannot perfectly capture
Right.
information. So when you're trying to
So
extract
I'm questioning
text
well,
out of a
listen,
book, you
the way
cannot
this,
capture it
now,
perfectly.
the way this works is I'm trying to explain before. What you want me to do is just say, sure, I agree, and then
You already did. That was the whole point of the first two premises. Ooh. Hurts, dude. Hurts.
shouldn't Christians be allowed to do that?
That's not you a syllogism right now. It is. To show how that's not a good logical argument, okay? So
Okay, go ahead. Let's hear the syllogism.
Sure. So that's not a good logical argument, okay? So
Okay, go ahead. Let's hear the syllogism.
Sure. So let's just start with human beings exist, right? You'd agree with that? Do you agree that human beings are imperfect at capturing information?
Sure.
And it's expected now to think that human beings would be imperfectly able to capture Christian morality. Correct? You can't
I
perfectly
would say that
capture
as an
information.
well, it depends on what you mean by that. There's a lot loaded in that. What do you mean? I believe there's an
You
objective.
just
truth.
agreed
There
to
is
the first
objective-
two. You cannot perfectly capture
Right.
information. So when you're trying to
so
extract
I'm questioning
text
well,
out of a
listen,
book, you
the way
cannot
this,
capture it
now,
perfectly.
the way this works is I'm trying to explain before. What you want me to do is just say, sure, I agree, and then later if I say,
is a
"No, wait minute,
syllogism,
I have
so yeah.
problems with
That's not a good sucks. Fucking rest in peace, Rob.
And later, if I
It
say,
is a
"No, wait minute,
syllogism,
I have
so yeah.
problems with that."
Rest in peace, dude. Rest in peace. Because there's no way he could actually debate that topic. It's not simply that Christianity is a corruption inherent. It's more like, yes, I am. I'm like covering some clips. Jeez, right.
Coincide with
Might have
a
called me out, bro.
responsibility for citizens to obey lawful orders.
The heck might have.
Yes, like I said earlier, there can be like should a citizen obey? Yes, of course, but at the end of the day, the primary responsibility here is on the cop to de-escalate. So should the citizen, just like person to person, should the citizen listen and comply and not do anything wrong or act scared or anything? Yes, but at the end of the day, the one with the gun has the responsibility to ultimately de-escalate this. The citizen just simply should
Oof.
try to, but they don't have the responsibility to do so.
That's a good tactic.
And Tyler, 1 minute is on the clock.
I mean, you can kind of see the dilemma. I felt like it was kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, I want to say you kind of took my question a little slightly different, but that sucks. So I did have a backup though. It kind of goes back to your opener. You said compliance is obedience, and you said obedience is bad. By the nature of the monopoly of force going to the government, part of that deal was that compliance in their execution of the laws was worked into what the citizenry should do. Now, this isn't saying that like if something corrupt is happening, you should just take it or blah blah blah, not fight back against the system in the ways that we have. But with compliance being obedience and obedience being kind of bad, alluding to what you're saying, are you kind of saying that you just disagree with the whole monopoly in force in the first place?
I didn't say obedience is bad. What I said in my opening was that compliance is obedience, whereas de-escalation is an actual skill. So when you're trained in de-escalation techniques, you have a responsibility to use these de-escalation techniques. As I also just kind of said to Let's Chief, is should the citizen comply? Yes. In almost any given situation, yes, they should. But I think the level of responsibility for de-escalating an interaction does lie with the one that has the monopoly of the force. Now, I also believe in the Second Amendment, but that's a bit of a separate situation.
All right. Now we're going to go over to you, Hammer. Now, you seemed to hinge most of your argument on a law enforcement officer's right to protect themselves against threats. So let me ask you this. Do you believe would it change your position if law enforcement officers were issued full body armor, literally head to toe, like a hazmat suit, and were therefore like out in a suit of goddamn armor like a knight of old, if they had better body protection against the threat of physical harm? Would that then change your position regarding their ability to react with lethal force?
It would probably change situations which I would justify lethal force. But again, the core of it is if you are being faced with lethal force, the cop has the right to respond with lethal force. So if you're in a full body armor and someone aims an RPG at you, then I still think that you still have that fundamental right, so you can respond to that person with with lethal force. And it also goes into my argument of like, again, these all should be used with reasonability, obviously.
And back to you, Let's Chief. 1 minute's on the clock for a question for Hammer, please.
Starting in 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like you were saying if things didn't get physical, then that wasn't conflict. That's called personal feeling, but I feel like a weird line is being blurred there. Would you say it's possible to um, have a conflict based on personal feelings, or is it all solely based on objective fact?
So, what the thing there was in my opinion, he was conflating like a personal feeling to the conflict itself. While of course there may be some conflict in that you're standoffish, that is the conflict. Whether or not you're nervous, um, that's not the conflict. And I'm not like he was saying that I should admit that if cops match energy, then they should match the feelings of the person that they're interacting with. And of course, like yeah, of course, your feelings can be like the catalyst for whatever is happening between you and the cops.
All right, audience. I hope you guys have been paying attention. We're going to put 3 minutes on the clock for each of the debaters to give us
You
their
missed one of the
closing
judges.
arguments. I sure as fuck did. I'm sorry. I love you, Tyler. I'm sorry, buddy. Yeah, I know. I was
I think you're
blinded by your
sexy, Tyler.
prettiness. Yeah, I was blinded by your prettiness. All right, Tyler, go ahead and go ahead. I was trying to save Hammer from the crucifixion he's about to experience. Go ahead, Tyler.
No. This time I'm asking just ideas that I wanted expanded on. I just kind of asked him an open-ended question. So I was going to do the same for Hammer. I kind of want to be fair about it. So you brought up a point of this instance where some person was ignoring lawful command and in their way escalated. In my opinion, it is right that it's illegal to ignore lawful commands, and in my opinion, ignoring lawful commands is escalating. I kind of want to hear your thoughts on that because you were getting to it, and then you guys switched subjects before I felt like you were able to complete that argument in a way I could understand.
Sure. So I would probably agree that if a officer is giving you a lawful command and you say no, that is a form of escalation. However, the only response at a certain point that you can justify from a cop would be further escalation. By definition, if you are having a verbal disagreement or a non-physical disagreement with someone, and then you take that to a physical level, you are escalating.
There we go. Now, 3 minutes is on the clock. We're going to go ahead and give 3 minutes to each debater for their closing. As you guys have all seen, I'm going to want you guys to vote as soon as this is over. Remember, we're not voting just on what you prefer or what you think. It's who you think made the best performance tonight.
Yeah,
That's super duper important. So,
I mean, I'm not really interested in debating that dude again. He's kind of
I will start the clock.
he's not very good at it.
So as I think that we
And
have
it was waste time.
clearly established, the primary party responsible for de-escalating a situation, if it is to be de-escalated, is the cop. If you call the cops, or somebody calls the cops on you for a suicide attempt, for domestic violence, for a schizophrenic episode, for a drug mania, for a neighborly dispute, we all would expect that the cop would show up and de-escalate this situation. We would hope that the cop would come in or has the responsibility to come in to a situation where he pulls over the wine mom from down the street and the wine mom is freaking out, shaking in her car. We expect that the cop will de-escalate this situation. When somebody is not complying, we don't expect them to instantly pull out a gun and shoot them. We expect them to de-escalate this situation. This is all exactly because they are trained on the matter. They are trained on methods of de-escalation so that even when they have a non-compliant individual, they are able to de-escalate. At the end of the day, none of these civilians involved in this hold that primary responsibility.
That's new
If
debate
they
panel.
held that primary responsibility, we would have a public safety model that was built on hoping random people perfectly manage their behavior and their emotions when faced with armed agents of the state. This is a retarded way to govern society when we have the option of having a public safety model that's built on professional restraint and training, which is, of course, what exists when the cops have the responsibility to de escalate. I would also draw back to This does not mean that the cop cannot defend themselves. At the end of the day, if the de-escalation techniques fail, yes, of course they can defend themselves, but what matters is the attempt to de-escalate. And we see this board out in helping cops be in less dangerous situations by we have police departments that focus more on de-escalation than others currently, and those police departments that focus on de-escalation have a reduction in use of force cases and a reduction in officer injury cases after they implement robust use of force training and policies. These help keep the citizens safe, they help keep the officers safe, and the onus for de escalation is always going to be on a trained professional rather than a random civilian who's having the worst day of their life. Because most of the time, if you're having an interaction with cops, either you're having a shitty moment of your life or you've had a really bad day and you had to call the cops, or somebody had to call the cops against you. You are not going to be generally thinking perfectly. This is the everyday for a cop. They should be able to handle it well. That's why they're trained to do it. And it's their responsibility.
All right. 3 minutes is now on the clock for you, Hammer. Bring it home.
So it seems that my opponent Gorps tries to pigeonhole de-escalation as a topic to techniques that are trained during whatever police trainings, or policies that ask police officers to not escalate situations or try to talk them down. But that is not what de-escalation is. It was which was admitted during cross-examination and by the definition of de-escalation. De-escalation happens when a conflict is resolved. Whether or not the conflict is resolved is not the responsibility, or is not the fault of the police officer, unless again, which I address, they're using unreasonable force. But that is again not the topic. Whether or not a situation resolves is due to whether or not a citizen complies, whether or not the citizen follows lawful orders. Again, if we like take this response, the problem with taking this responsibility away from citizens is that it doesn't ask anything of citizens. He kept saying, well, officers are the ones with the lawful monopoly on violence. And these are really good, these are really nice truisms, or it's a nice point in general when we're talking about cops. And yeah, we like the idea that they are responsible for their actions. But again, relieving the citizen of any responsibility to act properly, and completely admitting any action they do because they're not agents of the government, gives citizens the ability to do unlawful things while putting that responsibility on police officers. I see my time.
All right. That was very abrupt. All right. Good stuff, everybody. So that is the last debate in the books. Chat. We are going to go ahead and put the. Oh, what did I do? Oh, I messed up. Okay, so it's just going to take me a split second. We're fine. It's no problem.
me finish.
So I just didn't have it pulled out and ready is all. I got to go back to the books. And we are going to go ahead and put a link in the chat now where you guys can vote. I want you guys to vote based on what you think was the best presentation of the argument, not just what your feels tell you. If you believe that Gorps, the person up here in the top left, Henry insulting the moderator, this is the AF or the yes position. And if you believe that Hammer made the best case, that's this gentleman down here, Bam Margera 2.0, then yeah, you're going to go ahead and go with the negative or the no answer. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this over to Tyler. You get to go first this time. This was a tough one. So Tyler, how did you judge this?
Well, I will say this one, in my opinion, was the most on the prompt, because you guys both agreed to the prompt. You both agreed on definitions, which you did quibble a little bit about definitions later, but generally move forward and actually argued points that I both feel like interpreted the prompt the same way. So you were more digging into the arguments, and I had a really hard time, even though like I completely hate Gorp's take on all this. I think it's so stupid. I had a really hard time when I separated that's my personal feelings from this, picking a side, because you guys are doing a pretty solid job both holding your own. So what I saw to be, you both had
No.
good openers, good cross examination, good
Right,
counter
joggers.
arguments, repairing each other's arguments back and forth. It was tough. It came down to a 6-4. I feel like the argument that best won it was when Bam did show you examples of when the onus was on the citizen to de-escalate. Um, this is more of a side critique. When you were watching Circa in debate one, he went back to building his path over and over. He went back to laying down his stepping stone so you could easily follow his argument. Gorp, I won't lie, you were making an is and an ought argument at the same time really early on, especially in your opener. I was having a hard time like following point A to point B to point C in a way where I wish you kind of would have pulled a Circa a couple of times, gave a more clear, coherent timeline of your argument laid out. And that's more of a technical thing that's not going to win or lose the debate for you. It was difficult. I still picked up what you were putting down generally. I just feel like Bam was able to offer you circumstances, multiple, and your response was like, use a non-lethal taser when somebody is ignoring lawful orders and going for a gun. Like that completely hinders officer safety. Like in a way where having the monopoly on force is almost pointless if you're not allowed to use that force when your life is being threatened in that way. I thought his multiple examples, the bar fight example as well, were enough to poke and prod at your affirmation argument to handicap it in a few different ways. So I gave it to him 6-4.
You gave it to Hammer,
So 4
right?
6.
So
Hammer,
4-6.
Hammer, yeah,
Okay,
4-6.
cool.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Nope.
Are you calling me
Hold on,
Bam?
Hammer. Yeah, Bam Margera. He was being funny because that's what I said earlier. But you
Bammer.
won. So again, bam. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna respond to that in our after party, Tyler, to White Knight Gorps a little bit because we'll come back to that. But I have a response to your critique there. But we're gonna go to Let's Chief first. We're gonna get this sorted out and then we'll circle back to that. Let's Chief. Where did you land, sir? Audience vote. Vote, damn you.
Early on, Gorps made a leap to an extreme claim that wasn't the debate prompt, and it fucked up your minds the whole time, even Tyler's and Mr. Hammer's. Even though Gorps made an extreme claim that it's always correct for the officer to de-escalate, I feel like that ended up being Hammer's whole intro, and there was a tug of war between the mutually exclusive ideas. They're not mutually exclusive, but the mutually exclusive ideas of citizens' compliance compared to an officer's responsibility to de-escalate. I really feel like you got trapped talking about that for far too long. I feel like maybe the definition of conflict should have been laid out because, again, I think there was just some conflation happening with like any sort of heated situation, like is automatically not conflict because it's not like physical or something like that, or there's not like an immediate threat. That doesn't seem to pan out for me. Saying that, you know, an officer should match the intensity of the conflict. If the conflict is like a physical threat on the officer, sure, that makes sense. But if we're talking about approaching like any other non-violent situation, then if the situation is already heightened, if the officer is just, like it's not always necessary to like match fucking tone. And let's see, because of that tug of war between and the presentation of the ideas of citizen compliance and the officer's responsibility to de-escalate being presented as mutually exclusive, as well as his ability to fuck you up completely on the on it being always correct for an officer to de-escalate. I scored this 7-3 Gorps.
7-3 for Gorps. So that means we have a tie. We are between two judges, people. Audience, you guys need to vote. Lock this in, everybody, please, because you guys are going to be the deciding factor this time. Is this the first time no, this is the second time that the audience has been the deciding factor. That's cool. Usually it's only like once a night. So you guys, I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to get your votes locked in, and that was definitely great feedback from both of the judges. For the record, I just want to put it out there for those of you who do not know, because I saw in chat somebody saying about the no Gorps. I believe Tyler has walked away, so I will verify. But no, I'm pretty sure I clarified he was 4-6. So that said, Tyler and Let's Chief, the two judges tonight, happen to be the two leaders on the ranking board. So it seems appropriate for the two of them to be judges, and I think it's extra interesting to see where they overlap and where they disagree. So to have the two judges debating each other, because the two of them do have a bit of a history, is just kind of awesome to me. So everybody, I hope you have
like we made out.
Well, I mean, I don't know what's happening. Your camera's off, bro. I don't know where you're streaming from. So, I don't.
His
I'm
camera's
not
off
judging.
and Tyler left. We don't know if they're.
I'm not judging. I'm not judging.
We're not
but
mutually exclusive.
there you go. All right. So once again, everybody, last couple of seconds to vote. Ooh, good. This one actually got a bunch of engagement. We got a lot more votes this time. A lot more people interested. So, 3, 2,
Philosophy
1,
for morons.
locked.
Welcome to Circa.
And it is 70-30 for the AF.
I'm the moron.
Looks like
so.
Gorps is our winner, ladies and gentlemen. 70-30 from the audience. So again, it is a split decision, and that's another interesting thing. All three votes tonight or all three judgings were split decisions. So that to me kind of means that it was good debates. It means that it was proper pairings and fair and balanced.
I don't think it was all three. Mine was unanimous, I think, outside of the rigged audience who's paid off.
Oh, okay, yeah. See, like I said, all three of them were 2-1. The difference is one of them was apparently the paid off and bought audience.
Can you double check the other ones then?
Because that's what Vigilante did.
Can't confirm the audience is paid off and bought by me.
He was handing out food vouchers.
No, the audience just knows. The audience just knows how to recognize an actual argument.
There you go. Oh, shots are already fired.
That's something Mossad would say. I don't listen to Mossad agents.
Wow. All right.
That's something the CIA would say.
All right. So we are officially in the after party, people. So you guys are about to hear shit get a little bit spicier. We're going to go through each of the prompts and kind of discuss it, but also the conversation does tend to derail, especially at the end. I am going to go a little bit late tonight. I'm going to go ahead and put on 2 hours on the clock for the after party, as is usually the time. And again, this is just kind of a free and open conversation. That said, I have one vote. I have one little star that I get to give out at the end of the night for who I thought was the best debater of the night. And since I can't give that to my judges, I am going to instead say, "Ooh, Razor, I'm sorry, buddy. You can jump in after the after party. We don't do. Yeah, thank you, brother. Appreciate you. But Game Boy. I saw the look in everybody's face whenever you started asking the PB&J question. I knew exactly what you were doing. A couple people in the chat knew exactly what you were doing. The method of dismissal that you used derailed Vigilante's arguments, and you were able to demonstrate a careless disregard for typical accepted debate norms, but use it to your advantage. And you did go on to explain that you did it intentionally, where everybody, like I said, most people seem to think that you were just kind of fucking around or whatever, but you said he already hung himself.
Are you sure? I'm a little
he had
worried
already
now.
answered all of the questions. You didn't need it to be an open platform for him to be able to explain or articulate better. You wanted to hold him where he was with what he had said in your opening position. And for that, specifically, you are going to get my MVP for the night. So good job. Thank you very much. And yeah, all of y'all did a fucking great job, though. Like I said, the fact that they were all split decisions tells me that that this was a great debate night. So everybody is welcome to jump in. If Circa, if you're done watching your VODs and you want to participate in the conversation again, you're welcome to do that as well. So
Yeah, Circa.
I'm listening.
Great
Stay in the conversation.
Jeez.
night. I know you were. I was just.
I was just
I'm glad
listening
we
to
just-
Lago. You know, the Aladdin bird. That's
Yeah.
Rob.
Yeah, no, chat was fucking with you about it as all. So I thought it was funny.
It's interesting.
All
You
right.
should've won.
So
Lonzo
yeah,
had
let's,
a question for
let's-
me, right? Was that? I think I remember one, right?
yeah, there was
I have a
a
statement for
bunch
you,
of
too.
questions gonna go. So yeah, go ahead, Lonzo. What you got?
First off, you shouldn't have won, and second off, wouldn't your argument also be a complete defense for ICE's existence as not unconstitutional?
Is
That's
ICE
a-
My
unconstitutional?
response to this.
Yes.
It is right now
Or the
because
first
it's
ever conversation.
because
saying
it's
this is an
because it's not
openly agreed
acting
upon thing.
constitutionally anymore. But at its inception,
Yes.
would you have said this
Would I have said that ICE is unconstitutional during its
in
inception?
2003?
Very similar to how the FCC was rushed out during a. Very similar to how the FCC was rushed out.
That
during
doesn't
a
sound like you want to answer my question.
No, I am answering your question. Let me finish.
Okay.
Just very similar to how the FCC was rushed out during a time of panic by the federal government in response to something that the public was, something that had happened with the public.
Panic doesn't tell us whether it's unconstitutional or not.
It was a quick rush out of the.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't tell us
federal
anything.
agency that is very unconstitutional.
Why
It
does
was only accepted
speed
due to the time that
determine
it was-
constitutionality?
No, I'm not saying the speed. I'm saying.
Well,
that
why
the
do you keep
speed
bringing up how quick
of
it was
releasing
then?
these- I'm saying that the speed of when these were released is why the government was able to get away with something.
So
that
the
wasn't
speed is the
constitutional.
unconstitutionality.
Can we just say that it's almost impossible for ICE to act constitutionally, considering ICE has zero jurisdiction over American citizens? So if they come into any interaction with American citizens, technically they don't have any ability
Yeah,
to do anything.
unless they see federal
But
crime,
of
they
course
do.
they're going to
They,
come
unless
into,
they see a
of
federal
course they're
crime.
going to come into. No,
Yes, they
not even a
can.
federal
If
crime.
they see a federal
ICE
crime, they can do
specifically,
something. Yes, they can.
DHS has authority over American citizens.
DHS is
specifically
what ICE
does not.
ICE is under, right?
ICE is a part of DHS, but it is
Whoa,
a
okay, I
subdivision
have a
that does
question.
not have
There are
jurisdiction
other
over
They
American
can
DHS.
definitely,
Do all
if they
those-
see a
wait, hold on, do
felony,
all-
they can definitely
do all
detain
agencies
people.
under DHS have federal can act under federal law? Can all agencies under DHS enforce federal law?
Federal law.
By
If
your
they s-
argument, you just made for ICE.
I'm not sure what you're asking me, Lonzo.
No. You know what I'm asking you. Can
I really don't.
can all agencies under DHS enforce federal law? You said the reason that ICE can, even though it does not have the legal, even though it in its own, what's the word for it?
Jurisdiction?
It is. They can only enforce. Jurisdiction. Okay.
Mm.
To enforce against illegal migrants. That's the only thing that's within their jurisdiction.
No.
You're saying that
they
they
can
have the
detain
right to
people if they
enforce
see
federal
them
laws that they're
committing
under
felonies.
DHS.
That is a fact.
So not all the agencies under DHS can enforce federal law. You know.
Yeah, I
hear
was
what
about
I'm
to say I don't really know what he means by enforce there, but I mean,
You said the reason that they can
Well,
enforce
some of
federal
them don't
laws
have-
is part of DHS. I'm not mishearing him. I literally what he said.
Yes, that's what he said.
what is what I said?
Circa, do you think that FEMA can enforce federal law and arrest people?
I just
for federal
said
crimes?
I didn't get to hear what he meant by all federal agencies can enforce federal law. If you want to spend 5 minutes doing this, I
all
don't know why.
DHS agencies. Your argument.
My
your
argument
argumentation
was
for ICE
not
was
that.
because it's a DHS agency. FEMA is also a DHS agency,
So
but they have no right to enforce these laws. Your argument.
I know,
for ICE
but
being able to
ICE
do
does.
this
ICE is
because it's
specifically
part of
able to detain
DHS.
people, right?
No. Your argument as to why was because it's part of DHS, it can enforce federal law. This is
No,
just
your
a
argument
blatantly
was that
untrue reasoning.
DHS
Second of all,
has
ICE does not have jurisdiction over American citizens.
they have no
You see how
jurisdiction
fucking
to detain
they
people.
detain American citizens for suspected immigration violations.
No, they can
regularly.
detain
They have
people if
no
they see them
jurisdiction
committing
to do so.
felonies. They can do that, Gorps.
No. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking.
That
about
means they
American
have
citizens that are
jurisdiction
currently
over
sitting in
U.S.
detention
citizens, you
centers.
fucking idiot. If they can detain
No, they do
citizens
not.
for
They
felonies,
do not.
yes, they
No,
can.
but
They do not have
what I'm
jurisdiction
saying,
over.
what I'm saying is they don't, and also
How can you
this is the
detain a
example I'm
citizen
giving
for a
of
felony if they
them
don't have
detain-
jurisdiction over them?
They can't.
Yes, they
That's
can.
the
If you are
problem.
committing a
That's why
felony,
you are
Gorbs, they can
unable to
detain you.
operate
That is a fact.
constitution.
No. He's technically right in one part. They have jurisdiction over citizens. They do not have jurisdiction over residents. That's two different things.
Do they have
Because you can be a
Schrodinger's
migrant in
jurisdiction?
the U.S. and not be a resident, but you can be considered a citizen.
Is it
Why
there
are
and
you
not
asking?
there?
I am correct. You are incorrect.
Okay, they can
Good
detain
fucking Lord.
people if they commit felonies. Yes or no?
No.
You don't think so?
They could detain American citizens for immigration violations, which is what they are regularly doing.
Which means they have jurisdiction
They're
over them
detaining
as well, by
they
the
are
way.
detaining American citizens.
They can do it for
Born and bred
obstruction
American
of
citizens
official.
for immigration violations.
It doesn't matter. It's still detaining a U.S. citizen. That means they have jurisdiction, dude.
There's no crime.
They don't have the jurisdiction to do that. They cannot.
They don't have the jurisdiction in the first place, but either way, what I'm talking about is the American citizens that they are detaining for immigration violations, even when they were born in fucking America.
What does jurisdiction mean, dude?
That is what I'm talking
What
about.
does jurisdiction mean?
Okay,
They
hold
have
on. I
no
have a question,
jurisdiction to do so,
Circus.
nor
If I
nor
was-
do they have any
if-
justification.
If
What
I
is
was arrested
happening,
for
bro?
immigration crimes by ICE, even though that's a violation of my rights, does that mean they have the right to arrest me?
They have the
Because
right
they
to
did it?
detain you if you are
Because they
committing a
unconstitutionally
felony.
did it?
Yes, they can.
That's
No,
not what
they
we're talking
don't.
about, you fucking retard.
They do
We're
not.
talking about, first of all, he's correct. They don't have the jurisdiction in the first place. But specifically, they are detaining American citizens for immigration violations.
Wouldn't that mean they have jurisdiction?
have no
if I just accepted your stupidity right now, wouldn't that mean they have jurisdiction in your case?
In whose
No,
case?
because there's no.
How are they
actual
gonna
immigration
actually
violation. They're just
detain
detaining them
anyone
fun
for that
and games.
violation if they don't have jurisdiction, dude?
Because they say so. That's the thing.
I guess
That's
jurisdiction
the
now means I say
problem.
so.
Well,
Okay,
that's how
so
they
are you
operate. This is the
saying-
problem. This is why they're operating
That's awesome.
unconstitutionally, you fucking retard.
Wait, Circus. So your argument is that because ICE is arresting
No, I
US
think we've
citizens,
gone pretty
that
far
they
from the
have to-
original question.
No,
but
but even your point right. No, but here's the thing is that you've not been correct from the start to this point. You
I guess.
just keep saying things that are factually untrue and then going, and people are going, oh, well, he must
ICE
be
is
right.
allowed
He's
to
laughing.
detain U.S.
It's not
citizens.
true.
ICE are allowed to detain U.S. citizens,
ICE
bro.
is allowed.
I don't know how to say it any more
So,
clear.
yeah,
under what?
I'm actually going
Under
to jump
what?
in. I was
ICE
letting
is
this
allowed
play
to
out
do
'cause I
so
wanted
in
to see-
very specific cases.
I wanted to see where this was going to go, but I want to bring it back to the prompt because where do you think that ICE's behavior is unconstitutional, Lonzo?
I would
Because
argue it is right now
they're-
too. Just to be clear.
they're- Yeah,
Oh
I-
no, there are plenty of
Hmm?
yeah, it's definitely unconstitutional.
But
Okay.
well, but obviously,
Well-
Circa's agreement here is that I mean, his opinion here is that because they're unconstitutional, a lot of the time does not invalidate the fact that it could be constitutional. That's his point.
No.
No,
You're
no,
wrong.
it's not.
Well,
It's-
so no. I was
you're-
going somewhere with my question for what it's worth. So I will ask the follow-up question then. So is ICE making the regulations that they are enforcing, or is ICE enforcing the regulations set by another group?
It's DHS has like internal memos, and then they have, I think, congressional legislation on this. And then
Okay, so
Border
they are-
Patrol is
they
also
are-
a
they are
subset of this, but they're a
executing
separate entity, and they have a similar structure as well. There's a lot of cases
So
in
they are
courts that would
enforcing
decide these things.
congressional laws,
Sorry, what?
right? ICE is enforcing congressional.
Yeah, they have
edicts, laws,
they have
mandates.
congressional law to give them power to do things like detain someone if they commit a felony. That is absolutely something ICE can do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that's where I was going with this. In this prompt, I didn't even realize it when I wrote the prompt, to be honest. But when I wrote this prompt, it didn't occur to me that the First Amendment does specifically say, and shout out Groofus in the chat for pointing this out to me. It's like I asked in the question portion.
Mhm.
The First Amendment specifically says that Congress shall make no law that does these things. Congress is not making a law when it comes to the FCC. Congress is made the FCC, and the FCC forms its own regulations that they are enforcing.
Now we're gonna have to read the
So-
14th and the 5th. So both of those amendments are also included in Supreme Court hearings to show how these are not exclusive. Okay, you have to take them all contextually. So in the 5th, it says, "Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property, and without due process of law." That is a relevant clause because it shows procedural constraints. It's what the courts
You're
have
talking
said.
about for ICE, right? Not for the
No, I'm talking about for SEC. FCC.
Okay.
These are other parts of the Constitution that the courts have leaned on to say that this is how we can limit the First Amendment. Okay, so the 14th Amendment says, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protections of the laws. And if that's failing, then we can now, the FCC goes on to make sure that it can enact that. So it's not just look at the First Amendment, we're done. That's not how it works.
But actually, it literally is because of the prompt.
Holy
dumbass.
fuck,
Read
dude.
the fucking prompt.
That is easy with the dumbassery. But again, what he said, the prompt. Like the prompt is specifically about.
So the FCC is not unconstitutional if you read the Constitution past First Amendment.
So your point is that your prompt is valid if we read past the First Amendment.
I mean, you probably want to do that, Alonzo, not just read the First Amendment.
Oh, well, what are
Once
we
again,
arguing though?
The prompt is specifically for the violation of the First Amendment, though. That's the difference.
Yeah, but
it doesn't say the existence of the FCC is unconstitutional. It says that it is a violation of the First Amendment, and it is not definitionally because Congress is not the one making these laws.
So there's clauses in addition to the First Amendment, which we also want to include, right, guys?
Hey, hang on. Let me hear what Vigilante's going to say. What were we going to say there, sir?
Here's the big flaw here is the FCC only applies to corporations. Are corporations people, Horseradish or Lonzo?
Legally, yes.
Yes, they are.
Should be, but currently
legally, they have individual protections.
But I do see where you're going with that, Vigilante. That's a really good point.
The First Amendment, in and of itself, is not enough, though. Just letting you guys know.
If Citizens United was wrong, and corporations should not be viewed as people, then they're no longer. Or I suppose that if you believe that the FCC is infringing on an individual's rights, then you would have to see the corporation as acting as an individual. Is that kind of where you're going with that, Vigi?
Yes.
Yeah.
So is this a question of my own ideology or something? And
yes.
not the actual
basically,
prompt?
I think what he's getting at is if you believe one, do you not also have to believe the other?
Oh, well, I guess off of my own ideology, then sure, your point is right. The FCC is not violating any individual's rights by attacking corporations' right of speech. Good job. You beat me on my own philosophy.
That's what debate is. So, and that was the other thing I was going to say. And Let's Chief kind of address this a little bit as well. Like, no. I know, but you had said something at one point, and I don't remember what it was. But basically, you were getting frustrated by the prompt almost, or the limitations of the prompt, or maybe I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're right. I was.
Yeah, it was. Okay, I thought so because I don't see it on my notes, but I know I fucking wrote it down. So whatever. Yeah, in debate, I know it sucks, but sticking to the prompt and holding to the wording of the prompt is important.
Yeah, and I was.
And we can have a conversation later. But that's the whole and for what it's worth, the benefit of this is to be careful with our words, right? The benefit of this is to really parse out the weight and importance of the words we use. And so again, like I said, whenever I think I crafted this prompt. I don't remember if I got it somewhere, if I made it myself, but I'm going to take credit for it. I agreed with it. That's why I put it on the list until this debate. So I actually changed my position in the course of this debate. I was very on the AF, but now I'm like, well, fuck no, I guess it's not. Even though I still disagree with the existence of the FCC or the powers of the FCC, it's not technically a breach of the First Amendment.
It's not. And I mean, Lonzo, do you know who wrote the First Amendment? Like what his background is on the free speech clause?
Which founding father wrote?
Yeah, like what is his thoughts on it? I mean, he did write it.
William Shakespeare.
No, it's Madison.
Circa, do you think that the intention behind the amendment is all that matters and not the interpretations thereof?
No, Madison knew that though.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, I'm just curious.
James Madison wrote the First Amendment?
He drafted the initial version of the speech clause, yes. And the press clauses.
The initial version, but not the one that was actually put in?
I mean, it had several iterations before that. I'm not even sure if he was the first person to come up with it. It spans earlier than this. I think it's like comes from some English common law.
In the process,
He's the primary architect, yeah.
Why is it relevant what he wrote, what he meant when he wrote his version?
Because he himself included things like restricting speech in certain ways. And if you go read like his Annals of Congress, I think 434, he proposes language to limit the power of the states, to limit in a number of respects, including different guarantees of freedom. And he's not like someone who just wrote the sentence and then said like, this is objective truth. I mean, it's something that we have to take contextually
No,
with
but
the rest of
once
it,
again,
right?
you just said that what he wrote got changed, edited, and modified to what ended up in the actual amendment, right? So why is
I mean,
his
he wrote
intentions relevant to this
he wrote
conversation?
the Constitution, so I mean, maybe during the I can't remember
James
everything.
Madison wrote the
I can't
Constitution?
remember everything, so maybe during the
Played a
the
part in writing the
little
Constitution, a
meetings
large
or whatever,
part.
they
A
changed
very
it slightly,
large part.
but yeah.
But he played
The
probably the
father
largest
of
part
the
of anything.
Constitution
Yeah.
is his name. Father.
I think James Madison played the largest part in our
Well, he
Constitution.
fucked its mom.
Can I fact check Circa from earlier? Because I just did a bunch of research.
Yes, please do, Gorbs. Actually, hang on. We
Yeah.
got some facts entering the conversation, please.
So ICE has the ability to arrest American citizens. They cannot detain
the-
American citizens. American citizens cannot be held in ICE custody, which is what's currently happening.
Yeah,
You're wrong.
where are you sourcing this?
No, I looked that up as
They
well.
have to be held. They have to be held in federal prison custody. They cannot be held at ICE detention centers, which is what's happening.
Yes.
I didn't say detention
Detained,
centers.
though.
Not what I
They
said.
can be detained for a certain amount of time, and that time can extend
Exactly. They can be detained if they're
3 or 4
committing a
days.
felony. That's what I said.
Or even
They can be arrested if they're committing a felony.
They can be detained. If you can be arrested for committing a felony, that means you can be detained, dude.
Wait, but I have a
This
question.
is
When
more
was
than
ICE?
them suspecting you of being an illegal immigrant. They suspect you of being an illegal immigrant.
If they see you committing a felony, Tyler,
Yeah,
they can
and
detain
that,
you.
That in and of itself, what they're using for suspecting is also unconstitutional. But that's a separate issue.
No,
But I have a-
it's
I have a
federal
serious
law
question.
enforcement, man. They
And
can
ICE
legally
regularly
detain you if you are
operates in violation
committing a
of First
felony,
Amendment.
bro. This is not hard.
They
But
can arrest
why?
you.
Wait,
They can arrest
is-
you.
So ICE
They
is
can arrest you.
individually a law enforcement
What's happening, bro?
agency. That's like I didn't like.
It's an
I'm
immigration
genuinely
enforcement
I'm-
agency.
Well, that's what I thought. I didn't know that
making
they
the
It is.
judicial
It
warrants
is.
versus
Their
the-
existence in
judicial
federal
warrants
law
for
is
your
under
silly
the immigration enforcement
I don't.
chapters.
You know,
I
I know how it works because I've made the argument that they're not supposed to be interacting with the public unless there is a felony, right? Because they're not really supposed to be
Yes, in
doing
which case
like
they can
what happened to
arrest
Renee
them
Good
if
and
they-
stuff.
It's
that they think is committing a
obstruction,
felony.
impediment, or creating a more dangerous situation for the ICE officers. That's what they're allowed
You,
to commit.
again, Tyler, are you really making the claim that ICE cannot detain you if you commit a felony in front of them?
Well, there's certain
Just
felonies
say yes or
that
no,
I
dude.
don't
Say yes or
think-
no.
No, I don't think.
Why don't you
those
wanna say
are
yes or no?
State-level felonies. I'm answering it. Yes,
You're not
I
answering
want
it. It's
to.
a yes or no
There's
question.
state-level felonies where they're not allowed to arrest.
This is
Yes,
a yes or
they
no
don't have
question,
the
Tyler.
jurisdiction. They do not have the jurisdiction in the states
Is that a no?
to arrest for certain state.
That sounds like a no.
Yeah, there are. Oh my God, I don't even remember what the yes or the no to your question.
I know because you're too busy talking instead of listening. Okay? Are you making the claim
Yeah, you're-
that ICE cannot
I'm
detain you if
siding
you
with You're just upset.
Are you making the
Yes,
claim
circa.
that ICE cannot detain you if you commit a felony in front of them?
Depends on what the felony is. If you're obstructing them, if you're impeding them, they can detain you for a misdemeanor. If you're impeding their official duty.
They can only do some felonies?
Other things that don't impede. Yes, if you don't
Oh,
impede their
so like if you did a felony
Pretty
that's
sure
not
it's
under their
exactly what
jurisdiction,
the
you know,
Supreme Court just
that'd be,
said
that wouldn't be able to do
in
anything.
2025.
You wouldn't be able to do
Yeah,
anything.
if you do a
Nurka, did you
felony
just do
that's
the
not
thing you
under
accused
jurisdiction-
Tyler of doing? I'm just curious.
What? I did.
Yeah, you just criticized Tyler for
Yeah.
doing a thing, and then you did the thing. I'm not sure if you did that on purpose or you
I
just
did.
aren't aware of it. Okay, cool. Right on. Just making sure.
What
Yeah.
separates
It's only
ICE
federal
from an
felonies, by the
actual-
way. It's not state
This
level
is
felonies.
Note V. Velasquez, September 2025. This is where this comes from.
But I'm just wondering, like, so ICE is basically just another police force at this point?
Their immigration.
They have a
Yes.
specific. They're like special
Exactly. Law enforcement.
Well,
They
you're
can-
saying
can
specific,
also-
but Circus
the-
saying they
the-
can arrest you
the-
for felonies.
The felony arrest thing also only applies if they are actively doing immigration.
I never said arrest,
If
man.
they're just driving down the road.
Never said arrest.
It doesn't apply.
Well, then that makes.
They
So-
can't do
But
either
they're
if
doing
they're just
but they're
driving
doing
down the
immigration
road.
enforcement everywhere, apparently. So that doesn't really, I guess, work, right? They could just
Detain
claim
and
it's
arrest are two
immigration
different things.
enforcement.
Well, you know.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I
pretty sure
know.
everybody in here knows that.
Okay.
Circa.
Make sure.
That's
But
why I
thank you
made the
for stating
distinction
it
earlier.
instead of quizzing it.
But they can't. But are you saying that they can detain you for a felony and then what? Hand you over to law enforcement?
Yes.
Depends on who has jurisdiction.
Okay, I guess
That's literally what I'm
Real quick,
saying.
We got a question from
What
got a
the
question from
fuck?
chat.
Never heard that in either of
for
this
you,
whole
Circa.
debate.
Hold on, Circa. Chad is asking you a question specifically, Groofus.
Okay.
What due process is being done by requiring licensure for some form of speech? They're depriving liberty without due process. They would like you to address that statement, or Circa.
What due process is being done by requiring licensure for some form of speech?
Mm-hmm.
Because unlimited speech, McGruffus, can actually interrupt and deprive the liberty of using communications. So that's essentially what is argued in some earlier cases.
I
Like,
mean, that's not a good argument.
what the fuck is it? Give me a sec. Things like National Broadcasting Co. versus United States, 1943. It's about upholding the FCC chain broadcasting regulation framework. There's the Red Line Broadcasting Company, 1969, which is the fairness doctrine.
Do we go back to the FCC?
This is FCC, yeah. I'm assuming he's meaning FCC when it comes to licensure, right?
Everybody's showing their pussy on stream tonight.
So, like, negative freedom is not the only type of freedom. And the Constitution can be read in a certain way to make sure that the freedom to do things is still important. We're not just freedom from, which is just a libertarian hellscape at that point, right? So
Yeah, but you're just
Don't slam
also
libertarians here.
implying that there's one interpretation or way to interpret the Constitution in order.
I'm not implying there's one. I'm saying that this is the one that's been, established in precedent.
But there isn't one official established way to interpret.
There is an official one, and it happens through the Supreme Court.
Apparently, it's the person who wrote it. It's what
Yeah.
James Madison said. That's what matters.
That's not
I
what.
mean, it was
No,
the
I'm talking about the
original
origin.
writing
Because
Constitution.
Lonzo said we have to stop at that one, right? I'm like,
The Supreme Court also said that black people
I don't know, I
and
was
white
watching
people had to be
reels, I wasn't paying
separated. At
attention.
one point in time, the Supreme Court is not the end all be all for the proper interpretation of the Constitution.
that's great, man. I don't want to play in mud, so
They change their mind on things all the fucking time.
I mean,
Well,
how muddy do you want to make this water right now,
interpretation
dude?
Is the accurate interpretation of the Constitution. I don't really care to do that right now, anyways. I don't want to sit here and reinterpret the Constitution every chance I get. I just
Well, you don't have
the
to.
basis of what we were arguing. I mean, I guess I don't even feel like fucking going any further with this. He's gonna pull out another goddamn court case.
Well, so actually, no. Hold on, Lonzo. If is it possible that one of the problems here is that you believe that these things, the FCC or the ICE, is immoral, and you're just using the term unconstitutional?
No.
Because if not, that's fine. I would like for somebody to show me, Gorps, because I believe you believe this as well, where it is unconstitutional. What is ICE doing that is unconstitutional? Like,
Wait,
I believe
Radish.
you, but I want to
Like what are they? What actions are they taking that are unconstitutional? Warrantless raids, holding American citizens in custody,
Kidnapping.
violating the First Amendment of legal observers as a starting point. There's definitely more, but that's off the dome.
Okay, no. And now to respond to that, who is it that mandated or asked them to do that? Are they doing? Is that self?
It's like internal memos that aren't even official.
Yeah,
it's kind of
almost
weird.
all of that
From
is
the
DHS
DHS
internal.
is the ones who is making these advisements.
There was just a
Well,
whistleblower in Congress that just kind of blew the whistle on this a little. It's pretty bad.
Can I just point out that I had basically if you really think about this for a second, by the way that everybody else is reading the prompt of if the FCC's its existence is unconstitutional, it was an unwinnable prompt. Because
Yes.
you all believe that its existence itself is constitutional. Like, even if it was nothing, if it was literally they just said FCC.
Lonzo, how would you enact the consequences you were talking about without the
Hang on,
FCC?
let him finish, man.
No,
let him
Circa,
finish. He
I'm
was
trying to say
coming
that
to
literally
grips with something.
It's an unwinnable debate because of the fact that purely off of what everybody perceives the definition of its existence being unconstitutional, no matter what it was or what they have done, it would not be considered unconstitutional. That's the point I'm trying to make.
I mean, they'd be trying to say the Constitution is unconstitutional, man. It is an unwinnable prompt,
Now, to that end, let's all since we all agree, I think, with that statement, let's steamball this. Let's see what I don't think that's the word I meant to do, but whatever. Snowball. Let's fucking spitball. That's the one. Let's spitball this and see as a group of debaters. If one of us had to go into this prompt for money and defend the affirmative, how could we possibly frame this argument so as to make it to affirm the prompt here? Can anybody think of a way to
Congress
steelman
shall make
or-
no law abridging The making of the FCC was made with the intent to abridge. It's not a
think
strong
Lonzo's
argument, but it
argument was that
exists.
the FCC be
considered a law.
Yeah.
That's basically my.
Yes.
There's no point. Like that's
Yeah.
literally what I argued for like a full. There's no point
Yeah,
in
I
saying
think
that.
Okay, well you
Lonzo's
can't just
argument
Well,
stop.
was
You can't just
it's a-
stop
it's a-
after the
it's a
First
weaker
Amendment,
argument.
guys.
These are all of
You
your
don't
arguments.
you don't just get to cut the
It's a
Constitution
weak
into
argument,
one
but it
amendment.
exists.
Okay, can I have I think I would know how to lay this out. So,
Here.
the Constitution says that Congress shall make no law abridging free speech or prohibiting free speech. So, your argument number one, this is just point one. You would have to say that the Communication Act, which gave the FCC its powers, was unconstitutional because it used the FCC to prohibit free speech. Right.
Okay.
That's only part one. Part two is that I read the first paragraph of that act. It's 300 pages, bro. But like, and the first paragraph does not support your argument. Like, Sirica's kind of right. Like, it only it gives the FCC the ability to regulate like, what is it?
Radio and TV.
And intensity.
Yeah. So it's like a
Yeah,
communication
like
stuff.
yeah, like the economy basically of these communication places, right? And that's not unconstitutional. It when it lays out the purpose, it doesn't say anything about like preventing anything like censorship or anything. So you would have to like look past that and comb through the entire thing for some place where it says that where it does give it that right.
It has been
Because
found
otherwise,
unconstitutional
the FCC
before.
just implementing
Buddy,
these.
you
I can
did
think of
with that
three.
argument that I
I
made.
can think of 3 cases where it was
Well, you
found to
didn't-
be acting
you didn't- you
unconstitutional. Yeah.
didn't-
But I didn't what? I didn't
Yeah,
speak about the powers that
exactly.
was given by the Communication Act while also trying to ignore the first part of its existence.
You never
Yes,
said
I
the
did.
powers.
That's the whole.
You
So
never
check
said
it
the
out,
powers.
Lonzo.
That was
So
the,
hold
you
on,
asked
hold
me
on, hold
multiple
on,
times. I thought the
Lonzo, hold on,
Communications
hold
Act
on.
was.
Everybody here, did we all listened to the debate? Did anybody catch that from Lonzo? Because I
That he
missed it.
mentioned the act specifically, yeah.
Yeah, I never said the
No,
powers.
no,
Mentioned
no.
it
Did he
created, he
mention the
just
act
didn't really
specifically?
delve into the
But that the
details.
creation
yeah.
of the act was the unconstitutional act.
That's what my question was to him, and he said yes.
Okay, but
Yeah,
so
he said it was.
And
Okay,
how
he
is
said it was, but it wasn't the framework he used to build his argument.
and how is it unconstitutional?
That's
Yeah,
what I took
I
the
mean,
understanding of that it
he
was.
also-
That's why I voted for him. Because
How is it
when I asked him
unconstitutional?
that question. This is how I perceive
out for
your
the night, Chief.
argument. Can you clarify
Appreciate
I'm
you, buddy.
correct?
All right,
As
have a
always.
good
Great
night,
night.
Let's Chief. Okay. So, I think at one point you did say like, yeah, the Communications Act did give the FCC the power to censor speech, but you really didn't show how it did that because again, the first paragraph completely negates your argument. You'd have to actually, like I said, you have to go through the entire thing to find a little bit of me.
Yeah, so your argument is that my own argument that I should have made would have negated my own point, which means I would not have won. Do you hear that? Like you're saying the first paragraph.
No, that is not what we're saying at all, sir.
He's
Let
saying
me
I
say
would
it
have had
again.
to lie about what I'm reading in order to convince
This is
people that
not.
it
This
says
is
something
not a
it does
lie,
not
man.
say.
I'm telling you, all that I retained was
exists.
from Circa, the idea that, and from Groofus, like I said in chat, the idea that Congress isn't making a law that is abridging your free speech, but rather they created an agency who then incorporated the
Radish,
ability to.
let me repeat word for word what I said so you understand that that is literally what I argued. I said that Congress, and when he said that the Congress did not have the right, you asked me, and I said, no, you're right. Congress did not do that. There was a federal agency that was made by Congress, and since it is a federal agency who Congress gave the power to impede upon your First Amendment, that is what makes it unconstitutional.
Except the
And you
14th
guys
Amendment
ignored
and the 5th
He
say
flat out
no.
Yeah,
I flat out have that in my
yeah, but
notes.
Lonzo,
Say what, Tyler?
Lonzo.
I
hold
asked
on,
him
what-
that question. I have that flat out
Yeah.
in my notes. that
Except
I
the
asked him
14th and the
about
5th
the
say
institution of
literally
it.
no.
Because we didn't hear it from you. Now, that,
But
hold on,
Lonzo-
this is well. Hang on, real quick, and I'll punt it to you, Hammer. But the important thing for this, Lonzo, is all of us are trying to find ways. I'm asking this question legitimately. I was paying my undivided fucking attention, and that was not what I took from what you said. Now, you can say that it's because I'm too stupid and just didn't understand, but I would pose that since none of us seemed to. Perhaps the onus is on you to have found a way to frame it. And I don't know what you could have done. That's we're looking for advice
I'm wondering
here.
too.
Yeah,
Wait,
no,
I have
again,
a, I have
I
a,
don't know what it was, but
I
for some reason that point did not come through,
I,
except perhaps in Tyler's question. Now go
I,
ahead.
I have a
Andrew.
question for
before Gorbs.
for. It's
Yeah.
just a quick passing thing. It's
Okay.
literally just a quick
Go
passing
ahead,
thing.
Gorbs.
Circa, you just yelled out the fucking Fifth Amendment. What about the Fifth Amendment do you find relevant here?
I already
Okay,
stated
that's
it.
not a passing thing. We'll come back to that. Hammer,
And
go ahead and
no, I can
respond to
say
what
this
you were
really
about to say, and
fast.
then
The
we'll
Fifth
ask
Amendment
Circa.
says, "Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law."
Hold on, Circa. We're going to ask you about the Fifth Amendment in just a second. Please let Hammer finish. Go ahead, Hammer.
Yeah, so I just because like Lonzo, I do remember you saying like I think this is like has been said in like multiple debates. It's like there are sometimes you make a point, but like you don't go into it enough for it to build you up, right? So I remember you saying like, yeah, the FCC or the Congress gave the FCC it created the FCC, which has the power to censor your speech. But again, I think that you need to go into detail exactly because Circa talked about the Communications Act and what it actually says and what powers it gives it. I think you need to go more into detail into what exactly.
I just want to say I did not
and
do
how
that.
exactly.
I didn't actually say anything about the act.
I mean, but you did say you did talk
I
about
could have.
what rights and what purposes the Communications Act gave to the FCC, right? You did say that.
Yeah, he
but
also
like,
admitted in that
hold
part of it was
on.
unconstitutional, which I
Yeah,
argued
what were
numerous
you going to say,
times.
Tyler? And then we're going to get back to
notes-
Gorbs' question because we're almost done with this prompt and we're going to go to the next
The
one. So go
notes
ahead,
that
Tyler.
I have taken the first time this was brought up, Circa asked, "What if we took away like the bad things that you don't like?" Because he was trying to make the argument that the FCC itself wasn't unconstitutional; it was just these things. He said, "What if we took them away?" And his response was, "Because of the act that gave him the power, they're inherent. That act is what's unconstitutional." And that was what gave me the idea. Because
Well, he has to tell us what it is that makes it unconstitutional.
He just didn't spend enough time on it, basically.
I know what's in the act, bro.
That's probably because I think his argument was good, and my clarification question, getting that from him, that's why I gave him the win because he was making the argument.
He didn't clarify anything though, Tyler. He didn't clarify a single thing.
He should
But,
have been more robust.
you admitted I don't need to clarify what makes it unconstitutional. You admitted it was unconstitutional. I shouldn't have to go into deeper detail at that point.
Hold on, Lonzo. In a debate, and this is something that that you'll hear Tyler talk about all the time. The affirmative has the responsibility of proving this is true. So like you have to go a little bit harder, but it sounds like it was not an unwinnable debate is the point. So now I want to go back to Gorps's question for Circa. The reason I stopped that was because we were still talking about the Lonzo and how what he could have done to one. Circa, please explain the Fifth Amendment and what's the relevance there.
Again, the Fifth Amendment says, "Nor be deprived of life, liberty, property without due process of law," and that sounds like it only should be, within the Fifth Amendment context, but that's not true. What it means says life, liberty, property. Okay, is that if you don't have the freedom to actually have the free exercise, okay, to participate in, let's say, radio communication, then the FCC is the way that we can actually create freedom to exist, okay? So the Fifth Amendment and the 14th directly limit the first. This is essentially just like constitutional 101.
Or you're limiting freedoms to create freedoms? Is that what you said?
Yes, that's how positive freedom and negative freedom work. We're a classical liberal democracy, right? So we value freedom and we value equality, right? Like we value freedom and we value equality. But the really astute person would realize those two things do not mix. Okay, freedom can inhibit the other. So what we do is we try to find a path between them. And classical liberalism in a way doesn't like thought speech or like convicting thought speech. So this is why the First Amendment's really strong in the U.S. But by no means does it mean you can do whatever you want and say whatever you want. That's never been a thing. So if we take Lonzo's interpretation of it by like just looking at the First Amendment and going, that's good enough, I guess. But the Constitution's never been meant to be looked at like that, and it's never been meant to be read like that.
Okay, for sure. I gotta go to bed. I'm just getting
Yep.
late. I'm losing
Nope,
off
both
here,
of the judges are dipping out, but I appreciate you, man.
By the way, you're not sexy anymore because you didn't vote for me.
I'm sorry. You didn't. You gotta say. Circa, watch his debate again. You got to put your stepping stones down better. man.
No,
You
I
lost
can't
me.
stand Circa. I'm sitting through this for Radish.
Me neither, but you got to
Me neither.
compliment him when he's right in order to fairly critique him when he's wrong, which is when he disagrees with me. All right, take
No, it's not about him being wrong. It's about him
Have a
being
great night,
annoying.
bro.
I have the biggest headache every time I hear Circa debate. Has anybody noticed?
Good
Like,
night,
it's every
y'all.
time.
I
Every
look
time.
at
Are
him
you? No,
debating
we're
and
just
I
getting to
click
your
off.
debate. Fuck off, Game Boy. All right, man.
I'll
Everybody's
stay.
different.
I'll
That's
stay
cool.
if you're talking about me,
I'm
but
not.
I
Yeah,
got
no,
church in
that's
the morning. So.
yeah, no, I hear you. It's
Ew.
y'all's. It's your half hour. So again, if you can even 15 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the second prompt.
I take these as compliments, by the way.
No, you should. Well, no. So this okay. Last thing
The
I'm gonna say real quick
psychologist should
before we move
study
on,
you.
Circa. I even put in parentheses the are they magic powers? Remember I told you that time when we played Ark that I wanted to see that version of you in the fucking debates. Like
Me?
I had never seen that smartass, actually funny side of you, and it was like a completely different fucking creature.
Did you watch
That
Rob's
s-
debate?
That peeked through. That peeked through. I did. But we didn't discuss this, but he pushed you off balance, and that made you on the defensive for a lot of it. And so that's kind of like you were. We'll discuss it some other time. But the point is that yes, I saw you get animated, but I felt like it wasn't the same kind of animated, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is that that smartass Circa needs to fucking show up for these debates, and because it's a completely different human being. So, anyways, back to the next prompt. The ordinary citizen does not have a right to govern himself. One other thing that I wanted to say about this one is that I thought it was funny that Game Boy was able to come in basically unprepped, zero anything written down. It sounded like he was outside on his fucking back porch doing this debate. Because this is such a libertarian bread and butter fucking topic, right? That said, Vigilante, this was your first time meeting Game Boy.
Sorry to interrupt you, Rash.
What were
I
your
have to
thoughts?
get going because I have to take a test for a job. So I'll catch you guys all later. Okay.
Good luck,
Oh.
Circa.
Thank you.
Best
Later,
of
guys.
luck, man.
Ew.
Great debate. Had a blast. We will talk again, sir.
All right, Gorbs, go.